Won yesterday, though, didn't they? What's going on, everybody?
Elgin Baylor passes away.
R.I.P., man, to the Hall of Fame.
That dude went through hell as the Clippers general manager.
Tell me about it.
Gracious.
Oh, 1 second. Oh.
Log in. All right. What's up, everybody? Who in here? What's up, Ramsey? What's good, Warren? See you, baby. Chris, what's good, baby? What's happening? What's happening? Appreciate seeing y'all. No one goes to Cleveland for vacation. Okay, I don't know where that came from, but all right. I guess maybe you're going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm not sure. What's up, Will? Donnie Ramsey, what's good, baby?
Yo, our people are in the building.
Dope ones. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, B? We see you. Sacktown, Crown One, what's happening?
What up? What up?
You jumping in here, man. Get in here. Say hello if you dropping in wherever you may be. You know we'd love to hear from you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Everybody on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. Let's go, Bryce. Let's get some. Yo, Leezy.
Yeah.
Yo, Leezy.
Dame, did you see the verses?
Nah. Like, I turned it on. Like, I didn't care. Like, I put it on for like 3 minutes and was like, nope, it ain't for me.
I really like those dudes. I respect, their place in hip hop, but I don't know their catalog like that.
That wasn't the one for me.
Yeah. Don, were you locked into that verses? I'm sure Don was, man. That was from New York. Like Too Short and E40 was for the Bay. That was from New York, man.
Yeah.
That was for the East Coast.
That was yeah. It was like for a certain segment of New York. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it wasn't like New York. It's not that one. It's just a different one. No, they legends for sure. It's just
absolutely
they different. They're just a little bit different.
Did you see
Cheryl and B-More? What's happening?
Cheryl, what's going on? Did you see Earth and Wind and Fire and the Isley Brothers are locked in?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a trip.
Yeah. I'll watch that. I mean, what they have? What did they have? Patty and Aretha? What? No, it was
Patty and Gladys.
Oh, was it Gladys? Okay, I was gonna say Anita Baker, but yeah. Okay. Isley Brothers, I could do that.
Make me say
we need a New Jack one, man. Like
it again, girl. That's what what's his name was supposed to be? Teddy Riley, and it was.
No, we need a different New Jack one. We need
that was one of the greatest ones, Teddy Riley.
No, that was good. That was like the second one,
something like that.
The early one.
Sometimes you really just vibe it out. I'm the streets boy, Southwest sides of every South. My progress last time that I checked.
Hope you had a fantastic weekend, and we welcome you into another edition of D-Lo and KC here on ESPN 1320. I'm Damian Barling. He is TV's Kenny Caraway. KC, thanks for carving some time out for us here on the radio, man. Fitting us into your busy schedule. You was all over the TV the whole weekend.
Well, I only got 3 hours left, so let's. I only got 3 hours left.
We won't take much of your time today, Mr. Caraway. We'll get you in and out and get you back prepped with your makeup chair and get you ready for your next television appearance. Obviously, you've been covering the NCAA tournament with Marshall Harris over there on CBS 13. We'll dive into the NCAA tournament and some of the things that we have seen and some of the things we have seen that shouldn't be surprising to anybody that's been paying attention at all.
Man.
We'll talk about that. Of course, there's some great games. We're only going to be on till 3 o'clock today, so we're going to be headed out for some more NCAA basketball. We return to our regularly scheduled broadcast coming up tomorrow at noon. But, of course, we've got to start with Kings stuff. No, not with the Kings beating the Celtics, because that feels like an eternity ago because they walked on the floor in Philadelphia and got their face kicked in. Nope, that actually seems like eternity ago, too. Let's get to all the trade rumors.
Oh, man.
Because the Kings are all over the place when it comes to these trade rumors, KC. And, I mean, the The one with the most sizzle to it right now appears to be one that was reported by Yahoo. I think it was Chris Haynes who had the original report that the Sacramento Kings offered up Marvin Bagley for Sadiq Bey. And Detroit said, nah, we good, bro. No, thank you. So that opens up a lengthy conversation with multiple layers to it, but the question of whether Marvin Bagley is on the trading block, it sure sounds like has been answered.
Yeah, looks like that trade is pretty much inevitable. It's going to happen either now, before the deadline, or this summer. I knew I wanted to keep him. I wanted him to stay here or whatever, but I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. It just really hit me like a ton of bricks. Or maybe it was just a buildup, but I was like, if you have no interest in him being part of this, just move him.
Yeah.
And that it looks like they have no interest. And it looks like they're going to move him.
Yeah.
So
they were listening that day and they were like, gosh, dang it, Kenny's got a point. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do for this young man.
And on top of that, I was big in the keep Marvin Bagley camp. And let him be part of, maybe not the core, but it's part of the core.
Sure.
But
Big
this last injury, like I said, man, it's not his fault. It's not anything he did, but you can't rely on him. And the Kings, in a situation that they're in where, the seat is hot. Like this is a pressure cooker here trying to improve this team. Everybody's a little upset a lot upset with the last 15 years. They want things to change now. Yeah. You can't have a guy that's important, that is that important to your future, not be dependable, not be somebody that you can rely on. And that kind of opened me up to kind of whatever you want to do with Marvin at that point, you got to do it. But he can't be somebody that you rely on for your future at this point.
And it's frustrating in that there were points this year, a lot of them actually, where he showed, okay, we see it. Okay, everybody be patient. Let this year play out. And it felt like, he had missed a couple of games. He had played through a couple of things. He had played through the wrist injury and missed a couple of games, but it was like 2 games. It really didn't feel like a big deal at all. And I think Kings fans, we all might have gotten comfortable to a degree saying, all right, maybe this was kind of like a hurdle he got over, like the injury thing. Like it's okay, we're good now. Now he's settling in. Let's see what type of strides he can make just as a player on the floor, rather than being healthy and all of this stuff. Just to see what kind of player he could become. And no, that was it. Couldn't make it. And again, you said it is not his fault. This we talk about injury prone. This doesn't feel like an injury prone thing. This was just It was just a weird injury. It was just a contact injury. Like it's bad luck. Like Marvin has terrible luck. And by some other reports today, it's not just the Kings that are looking to Bagley or looking to move Bagley. It's Bagley looking to be moved. So there's probably a lot to be said about that. And it's a conversation we have, particularly with quarterbacks in the NFL. But it centers on, how many guys are drafted and land in the right situation where everything works out for them. Like we talk about Josh Rosen a lot. He's a quarterback for the San Francisco, he's on the depth chart of the San Francisco 49ers quarterback position, but he was a player that you and I actually really liked coming out of UCLA. Some people didn't, but you and I both thought that he was really good coming out of UCLA, but he lands in Arizona. And it's not even the current edition of the Arizona Cardinals. It was the edition right before, which was a disaster. And then he heads to, what was it, Miami?
Yep.
And nope, didn't work out there either. And so you start to look around and you go, okay, Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes went 10th. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes, when he was drafted, was like a 10 out of 10 quarterback.
No.
But he went to the ideal place that made him a 10 out of 10 quarterback. Like it made him that guy because he landed with Andy Reid. And I think there are a lot more quarterbacks in the Josh Rosen camp who don't land in the right situation and can't develop with their teams versus land in the Patrick Mahomes camp, who are already good but develop into this all-time quarterback. I think that's the case in the NBA also. We all say, oh, we wish we had Luka. We wish he had Luka. Luka's developed under Rick Carlisle. Don't discount that. Don't discount playing in the Dallas Mavericks organization. Don't discount playing, the certain, players who excel their first years being in the right situation. I think there is something to be said for Marvin Bagley. Obviously, his injuries are one thing, but I'm not sure that this is just the right situation for him anymore. And maybe it is best for all parties involved to cut ties. And it sounds like, if nothing else, the Sacramento Kings are attempting to do so.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, Damian, how do you feel about, so you got this trade out here and the Kings reportedly are looking for a first rounder. And traditionally when these things come up, or when the Marvin Bagley trade proposals come up in the past, it's been like, well, that's a number 2 overall pick. You got to get something on the return of being that number 2 overall pick. And I understand that. Sometimes though, I'm just like, especially in this case with Monty McNair and Vlade Divac making that pick, you can't fix all the problems of the previous regime. And if they picked him number 2, that's what they did. But you can't sit up there saying, well, we're going to hold out for this first rounder because he was the number 2 pick. Sometimes if it's about bettering your team and bettering your franchise, and not to say that Marvin is a problem or anything like that, but if you think that it'd be better for both of you guys to move on, you can't get caught up in the compensation too much. And I say that because I don't think they'll get a first rounder from Marvin Bagley. I don't think they'll get a young asset the way they're looking at for Marvin Bagley. But it's clear, like you said, that this probably isn't going to work here. They don't have any interest. Neither party has any interest in making it work here. So just cut your losses. Where do you stand on that, though? Am I off base where you just gotta move on sometimes? No,
I don't think you are. But the question that you probably have to ask is, are we at that point yet? Like, are we at the point where Marvin can't come to practice? You know what I mean? Are we at the point where Marvin can't be around the trainers? Like, are we at the point where Marvin is a problem every time he walks into the facility? I don't think that we are. And if we are, I don't think we've read anything of that sort. I haven't gotten any knowledge of that, since that it's, I think there's a certain point you can get to where it's cut your losses, second round pick, end of the second round pick 6 years from now. I don't care. We've just got to keep this moving. I don't think we're at that point yet. And I also think the Kings, or Monty McNair in particular, his front office, they might be trying to get a gauge for what people think of Marvin across the league. Because as we've said, there've been points this year where it's like, hey, okay, all right, there's a little something. We've got a little something going here. It's not super consistent, but we see it. That second overall pick talent. Like, we see it. We know that it's there. We know that he has his shortcomings, but they aren't shortcomings that the rest of the team doesn't seem to have as a whole as well. So let's see what we could get worked out here and maybe check around the league. I don't have a problem with them shooting for Sadiq Bey in Detroit. They're shooting for a top. Hey, let's see what we could get out of this. What's the worst they could say? No? Well, That's what they said. No.
Right.
So I'm okay, especially given the fact that they've got 1 year of team control left. I'm okay if he doesn't get moved. Because, again, I don't think we're at that, like, fatal point of this relationship yet. We might be getting there, but I don't think that we're there yet. And so if he can't get moved by Thursday, and I'm not super confident he's going to, let's see what materializes over the summer. Unless I'm completely wrong, and there is a point, unless we are at the point in which he can't be around the team anymore.
I'm not here to say that you're wrong because I don't know. But I feel like we're at that point. He don't want to be here. How many times we kind of talked about it in gist, but how many times when all this other stuff was going on with Big Marv and then his uncle, we said, Marvin, you got to say something.
Yeah.
Or else I'm going to take it as they're speaking for how you believe.
Right.
And he never said anything.
Right.
And I think they're at that point.
Okay.
I think they are at that point. Maybe not where he's like banished from the building, but they're both ready to move on, and I think they should.
That's a great point. I mean, the Marvin, not saying anything after his dad talks or after his uncle talks or after things are tweeted and just going, just ask me about the game tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about anything else. It's like, okay, you didn't have to talk about it. You could have just shut it down and said, you've said this many times. My dad is his own man. You see his Twitter handle. Talk to him about this. This doesn't have anything to do with me. He never said anything of the sort. So I don't think you're wrong in that sense. But I also don't know. And again, we're not privy to everything, right? We're on the outside looking in. I don't know what the Kings have ever done to not fully support Marvin. Now, maybe there are maybe they haven't, but it's certainly from our perspective, it doesn't feel like that's something that's ever happened where he hasn't gotten, support from whether it was, coming off of injuries or the support of his teammates, the support of the organization. I'm not really sure, so I don't know why he would be so frustrated with the organization as a whole. Unless he's just frustrated with Luke.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. The only thing I could think of is, like I said, I mentioned it throughout the season, the playing time. And
particularly in the fourth quarter, yep.
In the fourth quarter. And then not being, like I would always say in the offense, he was just getting the scraps. Like they never seemed to kind of look for him or try to get him some looks. So that could be frustrating as well. But organization-wise, like you said, I think they've done everything they possibly could to support Marvin and be there for him and help him along the way, even protect him in a lot of cases. So I don't know. I feel like I think Marvin gets bad advice, and I don't know how much of that advice he actually listens to.
Yeah, but
I think he gets bad advice when it comes to the perception of who he is in this league, what he needs to do, what he needs to prove.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I don't know how much he listens to it, but I think the advice isn't the best.
We'll talk more about this situation with Marvin Bagley, and he's not the only one who's involved in trade rumors. Rashaan Holmes is out there. The Kings is a potential partner with the Atlanta Hawks is out there. We'll talk about all of that. We'll get to the debacle in Philadelphia as well. We're just getting started here as D'Lo and KC continue here on this Monday edition of D'Lo and KC on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320. Really hammering in that D'Lo and KC name for anybody who didn't know what you were listening to. I said it about 3 times there as we went to break.
I thought somebody did know or said something slick.
No, not at all. That was just me, like, D'Lo and KC here on this Monday edition of D'Lo and KC. Like, we heard you. Like, Jesus.
Gotta let them know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Gotta let them know.
Guess so. Nah, I think you're wrong, Ramsey. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you putting "not" in all caps, but I still think you're wrong. You could have addressed it quick, moved on, let it go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you already know what it is, man. The People's Station.
The People's Station.
Well, I mean, Johnny, I don't know. I think that's what Kenny was just alluding to there. But, these guys get people in their ear.
Yeah. And I'm always careful in that. Even when I talk about somebody like Buddy, like as an athlete, as a professional athlete, Marvin Bagley should think he is one of the best players in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like he should think that way. Now it's a fine line between thinking that's who you are and you're probably owed something and thinking that's who you are and you still got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you can think like, oh, I'm a beast. I'm nice, but I need to work on this. I need to work on my jump shot. I need to work on my free throws. And sometimes I think these guys get the advice like they're that good and there's no negatives. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if Big Marv is there saying like, yo, you're nice, but your defense is trash or your free throw is embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
There needs to be some kind of talk like that. You know who actually talks like that? And people aren't going to believe it is LeVar. If you would watch like some of these LeVar, like the Ball in the Family and stuff like that, to the public, to the world, he would talk about how great LaMelo is and Lonzo and all this other stuff. On that show, like the behind the scenes stuff, he'd be on LaMelo's head.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you're selfish.
Mm-hmm.
You're lazy. Mm-hmm. You don't play good defense. Like he'd be on his head.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if Big Marv is doing that and speaking that way, in private.
Benjamin is really Captain Save-A Marvin today. Like it's cool. Like at what point, like and now you're going at like all of King's Twitter, like you're following the wrong people on Twitter. If you think everybody is going at Marvin, I'm just like, I'm curious, like if he wants to be traded and Monty is willing to acquiesce, like, what do you want to do? Like, what would you prefer? Like, are you confident if we said, no, Marvin's going to be the starting 5 next year? Like, you're good with that? Knowing that you might have to play half the season without him?
Yeah, that's where I jumped ship. When he got hurt again, I was like, I don't know. Can't rely on him.
Yeah. Yeah, we did see that. We'll try to get that in here. It doesn't obviously pertain to the Kings. It does pertain to the Warriors. It's interesting. We'll try to get that in here at some point today. Hey, when do these come out, Chad? I know Kenny and I we've heard of them. We've heard of them. I just do you know when they come out? I'd be curious to see them.
I feel like it's the beginning of the month.
Is it? Just in time for WrestleMania?
Yeah, I feel I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what it is.
I'm good with this, Jason. Sacramento needs to wash the negative from the previous GM. Time for everyone to just move on. I wouldn't say that if Marvin was playing a certain way, but maybe there just is a certain. Let's just try to cleanse ourselves as much as possible. Let's just purify yourselves and link Minnetonka and keep it moving.
And Damien, it's all about like what you're bringing to the table. If he was averaging 22 and 10,
yeah,
it wouldn't be a thing.
Yep. Yeah, hey, you know what it is.
Come on, man.
Come on. Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh,
hey,
boy, Jay
when
Williams.
when that came on, I was like, kind of early 2000s Atlanta beat is this? Come on. What are you playing, Jesse? And then my man Jay Williams got on there. Okay, I'm going to try not to sidetrack us a little bit. Who is a better, in the chat can get in here on this one, who is a better college player, Baron Davis or Jay Williams?
Baron Davis or a better college player?
Mm-hmm. Because obviously in the NBA, Jay didn't get a chance.
Jay was really, really cold in college.
Jay was a problem.
Ooh.
He was a problem at Duke. But Baron Davis was crazy.
Yeah.
Baron Davis was absolutely insane.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. You guys in the chat, you guys can call in or whatever the case may be, give your thoughts. But woo.
Well, I don't know. Baron Davis ain't never cut a promo for us, and Jay Will did. So I'm going with Jay Williams. You know what I mean? I'm going with Jay Williams.
Jay Williams, hands down.
Jay Williams cut a promo for D-Lo and KC, so he gets my nod for sure. Appreciate Jay Will for that drop, and all the folks at ESPN who have shown us some love, and great work from Charlie and the behind-the-scenes crew who have been getting that stuff done over the course of the last couple of chaotic weeks here. So there's a lot of there's a lot of conversation about Marvin Bagley here in the chat house. And if you want to join the chat, by the way, go to twitch.tv/ESPN1320 of the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. Not only can you watch the show, but you can also take part in the conversation right here in the chat rooms. And there's a lot of chat about Marvin Bagley, and in this chat room, it exemplifies, Kings fans all over the place, because there are people, like I'm looking at my man Benjamin right here. Benjamin was talking about, like, why would you guys be so quick to give up on a 22-year-old? You got a year with him, another year with him. He's a restricted free agent after that. Like, he could be with your team for a long time. And I think what we were just kind of getting to is, if Marvin doesn't want to be here, and Monty is willing to acquiesce, it's time to cut your losses. Mm-hmm. And it all ties into you. It ties into your point about his availability, his reliability, and the fact that we're not talking about a guy who's putting up 24 and 12 on a nightly basis. Right. He's very capable of putting up 24 and 12, but he's not doing it on a nightly basis.
That's what it really comes down to. And I know if whatever, but it is what it is. If all the Big Marv stuff, even the injuries, it would all be worth it if he was giving you, like you said, 24 and 12.
So
but he's not.
So a chicken or the egg question, because you've had an issue all season with the way that Marvin is being used in the offense, or better fit to your example, the way Marvin isn't being used in the offense. He's kind of getting the scraps. He's kind of getting what's left over. Would he be a more productive offensive player? Would he be a more productive player, period, if Luke and Alvin Gentry and the coaching staff, if the Kings ran some offense through him and for him?
I think he would. So
what I mean is where Marvin is right now, is it his fault or like the fault of the scheme?
Well, when he plays,
and I was trying to be careful to not blame Luke right there and just say like the way that they're playing is that on the way they're scheming it, or on Marvin?
Well, look, because we talked about this a couple of times, the organizational philosophy, because I'm not. It got to a point where I'm not sure it was all Luke's decision to play him 23 minutes a night. You know what I mean? Like, so I think maybe the organization soured on Marvin, and maybe Luke did too. I don't know. But I do think that bears, I'm not going to go back on what I was saying earlier. I think he should have been playing more.
Sure.
I think he should have been getting more opportunities in the offense. Clearly, if I think he should have been getting more opportunities, I think he would have better numbers, and he would be able, the stats will look a little better. There are some aspects of this game that I'm not particularly crazy about, like the free throw shooting for one. I do think he plays a little soft around the rim. I haven't liked that, but these are things that I feel, and I hope maybe that he would get better at. But I don't think he was fully given the opportunity to blossom into this 20-10 guy that we all think that he could be. Well, that I think that he could be. So some of that goes on the coaching staff. I'm not stalling him out. They're in control of his playing time. They're in control of what plays are ran. So that definitely goes on them.
But I also think it's worth pointing out, and I am not stalling the Kings coaching staff out as well. But I think there's also, we try to point this out regularly, like, what don't we see? What's like happening every other day, like not during the games, what's happening during practice, what's happening during shoot around, what's happening during these moments where they're all together, and it helps form the opinion of that coaching staff to go, we can only use Marvin in a certain way, or we can only use player X in a certain way. I feel like, that's the difficult part for us, as fans of the game, of any sport. Sometimes we have to remove ourselves and say, okay, we don't have the complete picture. We have a good portion of the picture that we see on TV and that we read about from our favorite, insiders and all of those different things. But even they only have like a scope of the picture. They're not in practice every day anymore. They're even when you are allowed to be around people, you're not in practice for the entire 2 hours or 90 minutes or whatever it might be. Sometimes I think coaches see some things that we don't see, and that affects the way that they coach a game or when a player is in. And I wonder sometimes if there was an idea to potentially make Marvin a focal point of the offense, but when they tried, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And again,
that could be the case.
I don't know. Like, I'm legitimately I'm throwing spaghetti against the wall here for this situation with, to Chris Haynes' report about the Kings offering up Marvin Bagley for Sadiq Bey and Detroit passing on that. We're just talking. There's
so many things in all these situations in sports that we just don't know about. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't know. Like you said, we're not in practice. We're not in the locker rooms. We're not in the one-on-one conversations that Marvin and Luke may be having. Right. So there are so many things that we don't know. But what we do know is he wasn't playing. We don't know the why, but we know he wasn't playing. And from my vantage point, they weren't featuring him in the offense. And I don't know. Maybe they feel like he wouldn't be able to handle that. Maybe that was too much. Maybe they're trying to take something off his plate. But I do think that given the opportunity, he could do a little bit more as number-wise. Now, the biggest thing is the health. That's the biggest thing. He could have the potential to dominate all he wants given the opportunity. If you're only going to play 30, 40 games a year, it really doesn't matter. And that's where it kind of gets back to the point where you just can't rely on them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's obviously that's one of the biggest frustrations with the organization. That's one of the biggest frustrations with the fan base as well, is you keep thinking you clear these hurdles with Marvin, and then something as unfortunate as it is winds up happening, and now he's going to be left on the shelf for I think I have the number here, depending on the amount of time that he's actually out, it's going to be anywhere between 16 to 23 games.
Yeah.
So that's, again, a big chunk of the season that Marvin will wind up missing, and a bulk of the second half of the season that he will wind up missing as well. Marvin Bagley wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only Sacramento Kings name who popped up in some rumors early this morning. Let's add Rashaan Holmes to that list. You and I have openly discussed what would Rashaan Holmes look like out in the open market. How do teams particularly value this 6'10" 5? Which is interesting. Like, for you, like, that's too small. He's too undersized. He's a 6'10" 5 out on there on the court. And according to Sham's recent trade roundtable that he writes about each week, Toronto and Charlotte both interested in Rashaan Holmes. I have to imagine there's probably a handful of other teams that are interested in him as well. He's just a unique case. Then I don't quite understand Toronto or Charlotte, simply unless they wanted the inside track to sign him next year. But given the fact he's an unrestricted free agent, and still Shams, speculates he could command a pretty strong market, I still don't know what that looks like for him.
I look at Charlotte, and I could see why they would want him. I think he would work really well in place of Bismack Biyombo. I know Bismack's probably coming off the bench now. I think Zeller was starting at the center position before, but either way, I think he will work well in Charlotte. Toronto, I'm not sure what they're trying to do, unless they look at him as somebody that they'd be willing to sign almost no matter what in the offseason, because it's not for them to make a playoff push or make a push in the playoffs to maybe make a conference finals or anything. It's not for that. I would think they clearly, if they're trading for him, they'd be looking to have him in the following season and beyond. If you're the Kings, I mean, we've talked about it a couple of different times. You gotta consider it. And we love Rashaan Holmes. Played great on Friday against Boston. Had some great moments.
Yeah,
he does that all the time. It's a regular occurrence for him. We love Rashaan Holmes. But if you're Monty McNair and you feel like what he may command, which I think he's going to get, a pretty nice deal. Mm-hmm. You have the combination that I think he is a pretty good player. He's entering his prime, if not in his prime. And the fact that there's teams out there that'll have cap space, but there aren't a whole lot of major free agents out there. I think that'll elevate. I'm not saying that Rashaan Holmes is Mozgov and he's going to get Mozgov type money, but they thought Giannis might be out there. He's not there. They thought a number of different big time free agents will be out there, and they're not going to be there. They got to spend the money. Some of these teams, they spend it like it's burning a hole in their pocket. Mm-hmm. So they're going to spend the money on Rashaan Holmes. I think there's going to be a market for him. So if you're Monty McNair and you don't want to go that high, as much as it hurts to say, you have to really consider trading him at this deadline. You have to.
Yeah, what are you willing to pay for him? Do you even want to pay for him? Like, are you just trying to get to the end of the season at this point? Which is another question that you can ask about the Kings, sitting at 17-24 with, 30 games or whatever it is left. Like, what do you want to do out of this? We were reading, the reports of Vivek wants to remain competitive, and he wants to be strong, and he doesn't want to just give guys like Buddy and Barnes away. And I think he's half right in that equation. You don't give a guy like Harrison Barnes away. Any other name in that equation? Maybe you just
cut your losses.
Maybe you just let them roll along there. But like, ultimately, what do they want out of this? Because if they're trying to remain competitive, Rashaan Holmes is going to be. He has to be on the roster.
Right.
He absolutely has to be on the roster headed into these final 30 games. If you're really ready to just kind of blow the whole thing up, then yeah, you can move Rashaan Holmes. But what I really am curious about, and I think you bring up a great point in terms of the amount of free agents that are available in the offseason, is what market does Rashaan Holmes command. And what is his, like, what is the downside to Rashaan Holmes? Like, is it purely his size? Is that what people will look like and go, yeah, he's a bit undersized for that position. He's going to have a hard time against, and then you look at the upper echelon, he's going to have a hard time against Anthony Davis. He's going to have a hard time against Joel Embiid. Like, he's going to have there aren't very many of those guys. He's going to have a hard time against, pick player here, whoever it may be. I just don't know what the value is for him. Like, I don't know if it's 10 million. I don't know if it's 11. I don't know if it's 15 or more.
Well, the other thing, and I'm gonna look this up here mid-show, but the other thing I think was an issue for Rashaan in his career was his health. I don't think he was always healthy. Even last year when we loved him and he played really well, he missed 30-something games last year? Like
because of his shoulder.
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder. So I think in Philly he had injury issues, and in Phoenix where he was at, I think he might have had some injury issues as well. So that's something that you've got to come put into consideration. Here, as I look, he played 51 games his first year with Philly, 57, 48, 70, then 44, and this year he's been healthy the whole season. Well, he missed a couple games, but he's been healthy for the most part all season. So that's something that comes into play. I don't want to get rid of Rashaan Holmes. And this kind of goes into maybe something else. I don't mean to step on your toes, but something else that is a possibility. The John Collins rumors are out there. So you trade for him, he's going to want to get paid. Mm-hmm. If you don't trade Rashaan Holmes, he's going to want to get paid, or he's going to get paid. Mm-hmm. And if you don't trade for him, you got to sign him, I think. You got Harrison, you got Buddy, you got Fox. That is a lot of money.
You have to. So as we segue here from kind of the Rashaan situation to the John Collins situation, because these are a bit different in that John Collins is a restricted free agent. Mm-hmm. So you're actually not in complete control over what you might have to pay him if you acquire him. And it looks like Atlanta has a bit of a steep asking price for him right now in terms of a young player and a first-round pick. Now, I don't know that anyone is questioning John Collins' talent. Like, it's just a question of whether an organization, and you're seeing teams like Sacramento, Dallas, I think Boston is on this, Detroit, Minnesota. Those are teams particularly, I mean, you could take the Celtics out of the equation. I don't even know that the Mavericks would want to do it, but if you're the Pistons, the Timberwolves, or the Kings, you probably you can't afford to give up draft picks. No. Certainly you can't afford to give up first-round draft picks because you're kind of building from the bottom on your way up here. But Rashaan Holmes is an unrestricted free agent, so he could just be gone. Whether you don't really have a say in that,
right?
The bigger point though is you tied all of those names together. I think if you get John Collins, you have to get rid of Buddy Hield.
That's a must.
Because you can't have, because John Collins turned down a $90 million extension with the Hawks. Like he's looking for essentially the max contract coming out of his rookie deal here. So you combine that with De'Aaron, Harrison on a declining contract, which whatever, that's fine. And Buddy, you got a problem there. In my estimation, you've got a problem there, and you've got to figure out a way to unload Buddy Hield as fast as possible.
So here's the deal. Here's one way I look at this. John Collins, for me, this is how I see it. John Collins is essentially, say you trade for him and you sign him to a deal. That's essentially kind of speeding up what you hope that you would be able to do with Marvin Bagley, right? Because this is how I look at it. If Marvin was here and he was playing well, you're going to have to sign him to the extension. It was going to be a big one. So John Collins is giving better production, and he's essentially speeding up by a year, maybe two. You can tell me if I'm wrong, what you were planning to do with Marvin if he worked out. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. And you probably expected to have Buddy. You thought maybe you'd still have Buddy there, thought you'd have Harrison there. I think you'd have to choose, if you couldn't get rid of Buddy would be the first one that you get rid of. But if you couldn't get rid of him, that's when you probably had to move on from Rashaan, because you can't have all those guys there. To your point, they can't all be here. Somebody's got to go. I think Harrison needs to stay. if you want to have a front court of John Collins and Rashaan Holmes, okay, I want to see John Collins a little bit more. Feel like they might be a little repetitive, but it's whatever. It's not a big deal.
I was going to say with the acquisition of John Collins, if there's an acquisition of John Collins, I don't know that Rashaan Holmes is around.
Yeah, see, before I spoke on it, I wanted to kind of do a little homework on John Collins, but I feel like my first thought is they do a lot of the same things.
And I mean, I feel like you have to preface this. We love Rashaan Holmes. I think John Collins does it better.
Yes,
you know what I mean. He's a better scorer. He's a more consistent scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know he's not. John Collins isn't your epiphany. But
right.
He can, if you get a guy who can score the way he does, particularly down low, which is something that it doesn't feel like you really have right now. As you know, you mentioned the tremendous game that Rashaan Holmes had on Friday against Boston. Well, he came out, and I'm not going to put this all on him. Like the entire team sucked on Saturday, but he went from what was like 24 and 12, I think was his numbers, 25 and 11,
man,
to 10 and 4.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon.
No.
It's not uncommon for Rashaan Holmes. It's not uncommon for Rashaan Holmes to have an incredibly productive 10 points and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rebounds or whatever. And then it's not uncommon to have a performance like this where he just kind of blends in with the rest of the group and no one can get going and everybody's just a complete disaster.
And here's the other thing with Rashaan Holmes is, as we pick apart his game here on D'Lo Casey. But here's the other part. He, at least the role that he's in here right now in Sacramento, he seems completely dependent on others to get his offense. Like it's always the push shot, which is a great shot, but he has to receive it, De'Aaron Fox coming inside, dumping it off to him, Harrison Barnes or whatever. Now he goes and gets a lot of stuff on the offensive glass himself. But what I mean is the money that you're going to be looking to pay him. For me, the way this Kings team is, I need somebody that can, if need be, go get their own shot to pay them that money. I feel like where Rashaan is making money right now, I can go find someone close to that on that type of money again. You talking 12, 13, $14 million a year. I'm going to need a little bit more out of you. This is kind of what happened with Buddy Hield. When Buddy Hield was on his contract, it was cool. But you start making, and I'm not saying Rashaan is making this, you start making $25 million a year, I'm going to need you to do a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Like you just running around the 3-point, I need more from you. I'm paying you to do more. I can go find somebody to shoot threes for $8 million a year.
But like, how faulty is that of signing a player to a contract for that dollar figure then? Like if you're paying Buddy to do something, or you're paying Buddy to do more than what was just shown to you. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you just said, I'm going to need you to do more if I'm going to pay you this dollar figure. Well, why are you going to expect me to do more? Like I showed you just what I'm capable of. I showed you just what I'm doing. And that's Buddy's thinking. Like, I understand that. That's going to be Buddy's thinking. Like, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm worth. And now all of a sudden you get what you're worth, and it's not quite what you're worth. It's now what we want you to be worth.
Right.
And Buddy hasn't even remotely lived up to that.
Yeah.
He hasn't even remotely lived up to what got him the money in the first place.
No, not at all. I think in some of those occasions, and maybe in that situation with Buddy Hield, you're kind of looking at it like, I expect you to keep going up. I expect you to continue to go, and you kind of pay him on that. Some would say that's not the smart thing to do. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you shouldn't do that.
I think that's another great point, because I think this is where age is a factor. Mm-hmm. And not in the terms of age like his career is winding down in terms of Buddy Hield, but Rashaan Holmes and Buddy Hield are the same age. I feel like the type of player, like you are what you are. Mm-hmm. This was always my feeling on Bogey. This was always my feeling on Bogdan Bogdanovic when in comparison to other players and European players and all these different, he was like a 26-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
Like he's like, he has a place in the league. Like he does something really, really well. Mm-hmm. His game isn't going to change.
No.
He's not going to evolve. He's not going to he's not going to take like this mammoth jump. Like every year, De'Aaron's got to take a jump. De'Aaron's he's got to take that step. De'Aaron's got to take that step. Like every year. Now we're at halfway points, and De'Aaron's got to take another step here the second half of the season. De'Aaron kept taking those steps, partly, I think, because he's 22, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. Bogey, these guys, and Buddy, Rashaan, these guys are 26, 27, 28 years old. I don't know how many more steps there is for them to take. Like, they are what they are. And that's it. And I think you have to take that into account when you look at Rashaan Holmes this offseason.
I agree. You're going to get, for better or for worse, what Rashaan Holmes has given the Kings the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of great in there. We always preference it. I love his game. But once again, you're talking about 15, 16, 17, $18 million a year. Whew. If I do sign you to that contract, I got to be able to dump it to you on the block and go to work. And once again, like to your point, that could be just faulty thinking, oh, okay, well, now I'm giving you more money. I need you to do more. Well, no, I showed you what I am. I'm 28 years old. And now you want me to redefine who I am as a ball player and what I've been able to do for all these years? Like, no, that doesn't work. So,
but what's the line? Too much is given, much is expected, or something along those lines. Like that's essentially the case. Mm-hmm. We're going to pay you this dollar figure for what you just did, but we're going to need you to do a lot more now that you're getting that dollar figure. And I'll say this. I understand that, though. I do understand. Like, you're not making a little rookie money no more. It's okay. No, for sure. It's okay to understand it, but you also have to accept the fact that you're probably going to be wrong.
Facts.
Especially when you're dealing with a 28-year-old. Or in the Kings case, multiple 28-year-olds. We'll step out. We'll come back. There's a lot more Kings stuff to talk about. We haven't even dove in to the debacle on Saturday. What does that mean after the win on Friday? And, oh, by the way, they play again tonight.
All right.
We've got all that coming up as D'Lo and KC continue here on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320.
I'll be with that.
Yeah.
I'll be with that. I got to give a shout out to my man, Aceberg Slim, man. What's good, baby?
In the commission. Yes. Full commission to hit him.
What is good? My man checking in from Staten Island. Whoop-dee.
Oh, Lord. No, here it is. I have to address someone dumb. Like over-unders being dumb again, which we've come accustomed to. I didn't say Rick Carlisle deserves credit for Luka's success in the league. But if you think that Luka going to the Sacramento Kings, he'd be the exact same player, you're being very, very foolish. And you're discrediting Rick Carlisle and that Dallas Mavericks organization. Look around and see how many players go to bad teams and stumble with those teams. Whereas you had a situation where Dallas was down a year, they landed Luka. Luka was obviously already a great player. He's developing under Rick Carlisle. He's become even better. Like to think that he would have done that exact same thing in the Sacramento Kings offense is absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous.
And he might have, but to just say that's what would have happened, you don't know that. Like I tell people all the time on the other side, Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith. Oh, they passed on Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
Like, there's no guarantee that Rodgers would have done the same thing in San Francisco.
Who drafts you matters.
Yeah.
It's what Kings fans know that better than anybody. Like how many draft times do you hear, so-and-so said they didn't want to come here, or so-and-so is trying not to do that. Like we heard that for, up until Tyrese was like, no, I want to go there. Like, but besides him and De'Aaron, you'd hear that over and over and over again. Like it matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Alex Smith Aaron Rodgers is a great example.
Absolutely. So I told you guys my guy Aceberg Slim was in the building. Before I met Damian, and this is no disrespect to him, but once again, disrespect is coming. He was the guy that I knew the most about wrestling. Now I think Damian has surpassed him. With all due respect to Aceberg Slim. Damian's a historian. Okay, Damian's a historian. It just is what it is. I was telling him on the show call before in the chat. You guys tell me, Damian can do a better job than Peter Rosenberg, right? He can beat Peter Rosenberg. Let's get him on there. Let's make it happen. I don't know if Damian wants any more on his plate, though.
I'd be flying to.
He's got a lot going on.
Flying to New York and wherever they at. I don't think like I get why Peter Rosenberger's on the show. Like he's a fan. He's on Hot 97. I think he does a sports show there too. But
yeah, he's got 3
I
shows.
just don't think he's very. I just don't think he's very good. I think there's like a huge chunk too of time where he didn't watch wrestling. Did you watch the Did you see the Randy Orton Stone Cold chat?
No.
You
did Broken Skull with him?
He did. It's really good. Like you because you're a hashtag RKO guy.
I am
like
an RKO guy.
And you know what?
Are you coming around
onto something?
So look.
I think you're onto something about Randy Orton having a stronger career than Triple H.
I know, and they're doing a great job. The Fiend, Alexa Bliss are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I think Randy Orton plays just as. I didn't ask.
Is that Alexa?
I said Alexa Bliss.
The robots is talking to Casey. The robots is talking. No wonder you've been so scared to go take over.
They're coming to get me.
Yeah.
I think Randy Orton has just as much to do. And I know you do too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know if anybody else could do that like Randy Orton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nah, you got to watch the Austin Broken Skull thing. Like it's really good. They played a promo, that promo he did with Beth Phoenix, where he was talking about like I took Edge out because I love you and I love you, kid. And it's just like it's so good. And it's like Randy at like 40. I don't know how old Randy Orton is. He's got to be 40 or 40 something.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah,
dude, he's killing it. Yes, indeed, and we appreciate you so much for hanging out with us. I'm Damian Barling. He is Kenny Caraway. You want to be a part of the show? Many ways that you could do it. 916-349-1320 if you want to hit us there on the phone lines, or you could jump in on the chat on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 or the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. Remember, ESPN 1320's college hoops coverage all tournament long is brought to you by McQueen and the Violet Fog Gin. We don't make much, but what we do make is damn good, as has been the college hoops tourney. We'll talk about that as the day rolls along here. Right now, we're just kind of buried in Sacramento Kings rumors. If you're just tuning in, you had your push notifications off. You didn't know. Apparently, the Sacramento Kings offered up Marvin Bagley to the Detroit Pistons for Sadiq Bey. Detroit said, nah, we're good. Shams reported that Charlotte, whose their season just took a terrible turn this weekend. We'll talk about that as well. Charlotte and Toronto are interested in Rashaan Holmes, and the Kings are also tied to potential trade discussions with power forward John Collins out of Atlanta. I'm not sure what Atlanta's doing, but
I'm not either.
They've got Bogey to the Warriors is out there somewhere. Like there's all sorts of things tied to the Atlanta.
How about that?
Hawks.
How about that? Bogey's on the trade block. Just signed him 3 months ago.
I for one am stunned. I for one am absolutely stunned. Yeah, but they're out there. I mean, that's what they did this offseason, right? They spent all that big money. They were
playing well.
They are playing well after they made a coaching change. They're playing well.
Well, let's see what you think. Frank Vogel's a good coach?
He's not my.
What the hell happens now?
Yeah. Boy, you ain't lying. We about to
see what the hell happens now.
He's playing that drop you were playing on Friday. I'm the captain now. Like, he's out there trying to get to. Yeah, I mean LeBron with this. I guess it's a high ankle sprain. He went out, tied these two teams together. They played the Hawks. The Lakers played the Hawks on Saturday, and he went down. Man, I've never seen LeBron go down like that before. Like he went down pounding the court, grabbing his foot. Like he's kind of like, okay. Gets up, plays like, all right, I guess that was theatrics, and then leaves the game. We find out it's a high ankle sprain, and it looks like he could be out. It says Brian Windhurst and Adrian Wojnarowski both said the Lakers are preparing for 3 to 4 weeks.
if you see my facial expressions on this stream, look, LeBron's hurt. He's definitely hurt. He hurt his ankle. It's a sprain.
You're about to say, but like what? Just say what you're obviously going to say something disparaging. Just say it. Just say it.
Ankle sprains hurt, man. But like my man Aceberg Slim, who's in the chat, and he texts me. He's like, I thought it was a Sid Vicious at first. Yeah, I know. The way he was moving, you would have thought it was a Sid Vicious.
Okay, like 3 people get that reference, so I'll explain it. Sid Vicious was a professional wrestler. One time, Sid jumped off the top rope and his whole leg just snapped. It was gruesome. Like, it was one of those really, really awful injuries. So you're questioning the way LeBron was reacting to the ankle sprain.
I'm saying that everybody know
can LeBron do anything like right for you? Like,
he can do
if LeBron got shot at the end of Boys in the Hood, you'd be like, okay, like LeBron, like you couldn't survive that. Like, it's one thing for Ricky not to survive it. It's one thing for Morris Chestnut to not survive it. But you're LeBron James. You couldn't have survived the gunshot at the end of Boys. Like, there's nothing that guy can do that makes you happy.
There's so many.
You ride LeBron hard, bro.
I just look, man. He's theatrical. That's all I'm going to say. And I didn't make this point, and I'm not going to say this, but somebody made the point. LeBron made sure he got that 10th point, though. He made sure he got that 10th point. And then he got it. Nah, come get me. Look, LeBron was hurt. Don't get it twisted. But wasn't it you I was talking to about that in Game 7 of the finals, the wrist?
Yes. When he went down on the play against the Warriors, yes, that was you. And then we went back and watched it, and it was like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something there.
Get well soon, LeBron. Get well soon, man. But I mean, I guess that goes to a bigger point, though.
You're such a hater, dude.
No, ask anybody that knows. I love LeBron James, but
I would hate to see what it would be like if you didn't like him.
I see what happens, man. That's my only issue with LeBron is, boy, that boy be going for the Oscars, boy. I tell you. He be going for the Oscars. What about remember the meme they had where LeBron is always on the first page in the book he's reading? He always try to take a picture, but he on the first page of the book every time. Come on, man.
Okay. Since we're piling on LeBron, nothing will beat the cramps game. The day he got cramps is one of the most like iconic moments in NBA history. He's being like carried off again, like Ricky but the end of Boys in the Hood, like he's being carried off because it was hot in San Antonio or something. I can't remember what it was, but
look, man, all seriousness, I love LeBron. I just see these things. I see them. And I'm like, oh, okay. He was hurt. He sprained his ankle. I sprained it. It hurts. I understand.
LeBron James teams are 34-69.
Oh man,
34-69 in his career when he does not play. The Lakers this year 0-1. Coincidentally, the Sacramento Kings beat the Los Angeles Lakers in the one game.
Look at them Kings.
That the King did not play, and now they're going to be playing without both LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And from what it sounded like this morning, Anthony Davis is like nowhere near returning. It doesn't sound like he's even remotely close to coming back and playing basketball. I must have missed this. I didn't realize he was this jacked up. I thought he had like a little, we're going to monitor this thing, keep an eye on it. Just there's no dude, apparently like his leg fell off because he's out for a minute.
That Achilles, bro.
It's his calf.
The calf,
close to his Achilles.
Yeah, and I think you brought it up when this originally happened. Same thing happened with KD. Mm-hmm. The lower you get down the leg.
That's it. Yeah.
So, I mean, from everything I can tell, AD is 3 weeks away from being 3 weeks away.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, seriously, that's absolutely what it sounds like. And because this city seems to be into strength of schedules, or at least some members of it, Los Angeles has the 6th hardest remaining schedule based off opponents' win percentage. This includes a 7-game road trip to start the month of April. They're going to go through that entire 7-game road trip likely without LeBron James.
I wasn't laughing at your point, but you talked about what you said. They got the 6th hardest schedule remaining.
Mm-hmm.
You know who has the first?
Oh Lord, no. Who?
The Houston Rockets.
Oh no, that's not okay. I'm not making any more Houston Rockets jokes. After seeing that video of Steven Silas on the podium,
oh man,
yeah, you know what I appreciated about that, as some people on Twitter pointed out, it was really cool to see a coach that cared his team lost.
Also, you're there too, huh?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it was great to see a coach react like his team just lost the game. That's all I'm saying. That's it. You read into that whatever you want to. I'm just saying it was nice. It was nice to see Steven Silas care.
Yeah, I'm reading the whole book that you're writing here, Damon, and I'm
you're not
page like LeBron. I'm reading the whole book.
You think LeBron just puts the book down after the picture's taken?
Absolutely.
Like, do you think LeBron has ever read the end of any of those books? Do you think he was like, did you get the picture? Okay, put Malcolm X on, put the Spike Lee movie on. Let's watch that on the bus ride home so I can pretend like I read the book. Put the movie on.
Oh man!
Of course, he saw The Godfather 17 times and couldn't recite one damn line from it.
See, come on, man. See, now you're coming with the ammunition because that was another one. What did he say? He goes, "Oh man, there was so many great lines."
Like, yeah, bro, just name one. Like, literally, just say one.
Was it him or Katie that said they watched it every morning of the offseason?
I think LeBron said he was watching it during the Golden State series. Like he said that, like, I've been watching it over and over and over again. Someone said, "What's your favorite line?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He had the same reaction that he had when someone said, "What did you learn from the Malcolm X book?" Black people. I don't know, man. We've been trying to get it done for decades. Like, man, I love LeBron and everything he stands for, but he is so elementary sometimes. I don't know. What's your favorite line from The Godfather? By any means necessary. Like, no, you're confusing your lies, LeBron. That's the wrong one. Jeez.
What's your favorite line from the Malcolm X book? What can I do to help? Nothing. That didn't. That wasn't in the book. That was the movie, sir.
Man, that was actually a fictitious scene, LeBron. It didn't.
What was your favorite part of the Malcolm X book? The character that Spike Lee played. That wasn't a real person.
So just to be clear, LeBron, you think Spike Lee and Malcolm X knew each other? Like, is that where we're? Okay. I need that meme. Can someone tag us on that meme? I need to see that again. He's always on page 1 of the book. We're trying to talk about the guy's injury, and you derailed us by going in on him. And then now we're making, and I'm telling you, Chat House 916-349-1320. We're on a permanent ban from making Houston Rockets jokes. I feel bad for Steven Silas. We can't laugh at his expense.
But no, that go. But
we laugh at the players' expense. I want to laugh at his.
I'm glad you brought that back. So you're in that fraternity of. So I saw it over the weekend. I'd take Steven Silas over Luke Walton in a heartbeat. Calm down.
All I said was it was nice to see a coach react like he gave a crap. That's all I said.
Didn't he give a crap after they lost the Clippers earlier this year?
I think he did.
When he did as much calling out of the players as Luke Walton's going to do. When he said, I told them what was going to happen, and they came out and played the way they did.
I'm just saying.
Poor Steven Silas. That was depressing.
That dude been waiting how long for this head coaching job? He lands on a team that he I don't know whether he thought it had James Harden or not, but my goodness, man, they have lost 20 straight games. That is just brutal.
And they've lost to the Thunder and the Pistons. Who are they going to beat?
Dude, it's just
who are they
awful.
gonna beat? I mean, I don't know. I think this has become a segment here on this show. I did it last week. We'll do it again. Where's the win coming from? Well, I'll say this: Friday and Saturday, and they better get it then. They have a back-to-back with Minnesota. Friday and Saturday. They played Toronto tonight. That could be a win. But they got back to back with Minnesota. If they don't get they don't get Toronto one of the Minnesota games, it's crazy.
It's just gonna happen. They're just gonna have to stumble upon one. Like, you can't start looking at the schedule. You can't worry about that. Like, they just got to get something done.
Good teams.
Well, they're not beating the bad ones either right now. You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, a radio.com sports station, and driven by our friends over at Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. He's Kenny Caraway. I'm Damian Barling. We're live on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 and the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. We hope that you'll check us out there. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up if you're watching right now. We greatly appreciate it. And go check us out on Twitter as well, at D-Lo and KC and at ESPN 1320. They've got the Raptors coming up. They've got the Hornets. They got the T-Wolves twice, the Grizzlies, Nets, Celtics, and Pelicans. Oh, boy.
The schedule crazy, bro.
What's the record for most losses in a row? Is it 20?
I think it's 26 or 28.
It's Philly, right? 28 by Philly.
And Jesse, let us know. 28 wasn't in one season, though, right? They split seasons, right?
I think it was 26, 25 or 26. Like, it was
for a whole season.
It wasn't like it wasn't split like 14 here and 14 there. It was like a big chunk of it was at the end of the season. And
man,
that's brutal.
Can I ask you a Queens? No, this is not Shaquille O'Neal in early 2000. Can I ask you a Kings question? Mm-hmm. Got a win on Friday. Mm-hmm. They got a win, or they got blasted on Saturday. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I saw you on TV as well. Look very dapper. Very dapper.
You. Thank you.
It seemed like you were thoroughly disgusted by what happened on Saturday when talking about the Kings. So me personally, it was an embarrassing loss. It was ridiculous. Any words that you want to use, it was that. Mm-hmm. I'm not as overly upset as everyone else is about what happened on Saturday. I mean, that's kind of the Kings. Mm-hmm. And
I think that's the problem, though.
It is the problem.
I don't want to, mess up your point, but I feel like that's part of the problem. Like, they were down 36 in that game. I wasn't kidding. I turned it off. It's like, I'm not. You don't get my Saturday night. Screw you. I'm gonna go watch Harlem Nights. Like, I've been wanting to rewatch that movie for a while. I wanted to see Red Fox and Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. I watched that, and I went back and went through the second half on Synergy the next morning. I was like, Jesus, like, this is just trash. Like, you don't get my time when you play like that.
Fair. Now, they win today. If they can win today, be a 3-3 6-game road trip. Are we still looking at it like it don't matter?
There's no momentum.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no, I don't know what Friday was. And we talked about this I don't know why they play Boston so well. They've played Boston well for the last couple of years, and Boston, last year they were an elite team. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it is. They have these great games against them, like the Celtics. It was a rare game where I thought the Kings are in control of this game. I didn't feel like they were. It was like I think the Kings are gonna get this one.
Right.
And there was a moment where I thought, okay, it's going to be really tough against Philly tomorrow. Mm-hmm. One, it's Philly. Two, it's the second night of a back-to-back. What would be our story if they put up a fight? They don't win, but they put up a fight. Because I knew what the story would be if they won. Because you've won the two toughest games on the road trip.
Right.
What would it be if they put up a fight? first quarter they were down 20.
That was embarrassing. Embarrassing.
I guess I ain't got to worry about this. And then it's like, okay, let's see. Can they chip into this? Like, what can they do? Just like I felt in the Celtics game, where I was like, they've got control of this one. It was like they're never getting back into this one. Like, it's only a matter of time. Like, we could get double-digit minutes from Daquan Jeffries tonight. We did not. By the way, we only got 3 minutes, but I was like, dude, we could get some Justin James and some Daquan Jeff. We might even get some Kyle Guy run here. Hell, there could be a Jabari Parker sighting. There was not.
It's crazy.
But I did think, like, maybe that's what we're watching for in this game. None of that stuff ultimately happened, but that's just that it's those losses that are, it's not, I don't even know that it's losing. I mean, they were down 36 in that game. You can lose. It's the second night of it. It just feels like this stuff happens a lot.
Yeah.
And you talk about winning tonight, winning versus Cleveland. I think there are some challenges versus Cleveland tonight. I know Cleveland's not as good of a team as Philly. I know Cleveland's not as good of a team as Boston. They weren't annihilated in the paint like I thought they would be in these two games, but they did lose the paint points in both of them. It was only 52-48 in the Philly game. It was 50-38 in the Boston game. So not, still not as bad as what we saw Russell Westbrook in the Washington Wizards do in the game that the Kings wound up winning.
Right.
But Cleveland's got some bigs, and they like to work through them. And so I'm really curious what the first 5 minutes of tonight's game is going to ultimately look like. And I think it could create some issues for the Kings. I don't think they need to change their starting lineup, by the way. This is what they're going with. Like, go with it. But this is a team, because of the way they play, I think can present some early minute challenges for them.
Okay. I just look at what's going on with the Kings, the big picture in the scheme of this season, right? And whether they lost by 1 or lost by 61, it's a loss against Philly. Like, it's a loss. Okay. And they've shown that they're prone to those games, and that's a problem. Not excusing, that's a problem. They're prone to those completely no-show games, and I think that's one of the things that keeps them from excelling as a team. But they're prone to that, and they're prone to come back the next night or 2 nights later and play a really good game, whether that results in a win or a close loss or something like that. So I think about the 6-game road trip, and I said they needed to get Atlanta or Charlotte. They lost them both, but we all assumed they were going to lose both to Boston and Philly. And so it kind of balances each other out. They can get this one against Cleveland, a 3-3 6-game road trip. And I don't know, it still puts you 3 games back behind the 10, all this other, like, as long as that's still there, you have to think about it. You have to think about it. And I know people want them to tank and all this other stuff and want them to be bad. I just don't see that happen. They're not going to lose enough for what everybody is talking about to go into that top 5 or top 4. I just don't see it.
No, I agree with that. But if let's go with your scenario, they go 3-3 on the strip. They beat the Cavs tonight. Mm-hmm. Well, then what? Like, what are we talking about tomorrow? Like what? I still don't think there's momentum, even with a 3-3 road trip. I still don't think there's any momentum, as John Witherspoon would say. There's no momentum. There's nothing that says this whole thing is moving forward. It's just kind of like, this is the Kings. They're going to win a couple. They're going to lose a couple. The frustrating thing with the Kings is they'll have a really, almost euphoric win followed up by a, stomp a mud hole in you and walk it dry, as good old JR would say when Stone Cold was in the ring. Yeah. So it's like, if you could have followed that game up with anything other than a game where you were down by 36, and it probably wouldn't have been so bad. But you just immediately took the, you took the fun away from the Celtics win, and it's like, okay, we're back to the bottom here, trying to figure out what to do.
And that is what, if they want anything to do with this season in a positive way, in a way of chasing the playoffs, they're going to have to create their own momentum. They're going to have to win some games and put together a string of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games of good basketball. You ain't got to win 9 in a row, but there you go, 6-3.
You do to realistically, like, we could talk about 3 games or 3.5 games all damn day. if they can't put together a string of basketball where they do win 3 or 4 or 5 games in a row, and potentially beat a couple of the teams in front of them, or hope that the teams in front of them lose if they're not playing each other, then I mean, there's a stretch at the end of the season, which I think they play Memphis a couple of times. I think New Orleans might be in there as well. Like you keep yourself in the conversation till the end of the season. Again, it goes back to a conversation we've had a couple of times. This team could very well be worse than last year and get into a play-in spot.
They could, but once again, if they get into a playoff spot, I feel like they would have done something right. Like they would. I agree with you. They were going to have to win 6 or 9 to get into that position.
But Luke said they're not that good. Remember?
He said they're not good.
I think, because they didn't win 7 of 8. They won 7 of 9. But you're right. We just make up numbers as we.
Who's counting?
Apparently, he's not.
7 of 8. Why would you count that Philadelphia game?
They had won 7. Okay.
They had won 7 of 8 before that. It's all about the wins.
But they're not. But
they're about the wins.
They're not that good. They're not that good. That's what Luke Walton said.
I don't think they're good enough to win 7 of 8 either.
But that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to.
6 of 3 is not 7 of 8. 6 and 3 and 9. I said 6 and 3 in 9 games is not 7 of 8.
But is that going to get you some movement?
Yeah. You win 6 of 9 games. Yeah, that'll get you some movement. The way the other teams have been playing. Okay. Now, if they pick up their game too, maybe not. But the way
and I guess it all ties into you're going to have to knock a couple of those teams off as well. There could be a storyline. It's an unfortunate one, but it could be good for Tyrese Halliburton. We mentioned LaMelo Ball on the complexion of the Charlotte Hornets season changed over the weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll get into our thoughts on the tourney, talk more about the Kings. A monumental moment 22 years ago. There's so much more coming up as D'Lo and KC continue here on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel, here on radio.com, and on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320. And that's the bottom line.
Oh, hell yeah.
What's happening in the chat?
I got a question for Leland. Where is he at? Leland says Salah is better coach than Luke or whatever. Coaching matters, which it does to a certain degree. Once again,
I don't know how good.
I want to see what Frank Vogel does. That's all I'm saying.
What are y'all fighting about in here?
They're fighting about everything.
Y'all are really just going. I'm trying to find the origins of this argument. There's an argument. How is Tim Duncan being discussed here in this chat? What are you guys doing? What? Oh, is this the start of it? Whatever happened to Coach Tim Duncan? Did Poker? I should have known Poker Pro started it. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
It got stopped. It was an embarrassing performance. Absolutely.
Fortunate. 39 win, Dave Yeager, Sacramento hero. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Low bar here. Low bar. Oh my gosh! Absolutely. Absolutely. 55 wins. 55 wins. That's what I was hearing.
Did they have a draft pick up? Who they draft after Bagley? No, they didn't have their first round.
I don't think they had a pick after Bagley.
Yeah, finally got cashed in. Welp.
Man, so quiet. I don't know why'd it get so quiet. I don't know what's going on here. Hey, have you heard of a bump box?
Vaguely. Yeah. Wasn't 1025 giving those away or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
And I think I heard somebody before somewhere talking about it.
I might. Hey, can y'all hit the thumbs up, man? There's a whole bunch of y'all in YouTube, man. Could y'all hit the thumbs up? It takes like a split second. Just hit the little thumb, just like bam. This is how many people in here? 64 people in here. Just boom, thumbs up, boom, thumbs up, boom, thumbs up. Oh, there's 25. Let's go. Let's get to 30 before the break's over. Come on. Hey, we're at 29. Let's go. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Let's go. Let's get to 30 before the commercial breaks over. Hey, 32. There you go. See, y'all just got to be reminded. Just hit the thumbs up for your boy. I may or may not have ordered one.
How big is it? Do you know?
It looked like a pretty good size.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I wanted one for the workout room because the sound in the workout room sucks. Yeah. And I was like messing around. I was like, gosh, I don't want to spend money on a Bluetooth speaker. And then they have a Biggie themed one. I was like,
yeah. Shoot. And if you don't know, now you know.
And it was one of those things where I'm like looking at it and I'm like, order, click, 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 and I threw my phone away. Like can't like talk myself out of it. Just order it, just get it, put in a little promo code, keep it moving. Look at y'all. We already up to 40. I see y'all. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey.
Like I'm what an Instagram post would sound like if it could talk. Hit the heart, hit the heart, hit the heart. We having some fun in here on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 and the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. We hope you're having fun as well, wherever that you are. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us as we roll along here. We'll be out a little bit early today. I think this is our last time having to drop the show a little bit early, but it'll be worth it because we're going to NCAA college basketball coverage. And I mean, thank God. The Kenny Caraway he is the KC of Coach in KC that hopefully you have seen all weekend on CBS 13 with Marshall Harris and Coach Brian Katz. And I got a nice little, like we all did TV together, and the way you do TV today is you're all in the same Zoom room and then you go, you do your thing. And I was getting a scouting report from Coach on my television performance when I got booted out of the Zoom. So I didn't get to hear the rest of what Coach Katz had to say, but he was talking about how I delivered my message with authority. Like I was actually hyped. Listen, I was like, yeah, Coach, put me in. Like I was feeling pretty good about myself until I was booted out of the out of the Zoom call.
The thing about that is we didn't know that. So you got booted out or whatever. We thought you closed out, and I was like, well, damn, I guess Damian had some things to do. I guess it was a Sunday afternoon, the sun was out, and he was like, I'm out of here. I didn't know.
I would never do that to Coach Katz. Like there were 2 times I was talking to him before everyone logged on, and I got booted. Maybe the producer didn't like me. I don't know. I kept getting booted out, and I didn't go on until Marshall texted me and said, okay, you're next. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the screen comes on, and all of a sudden we're on TV. And then I'm getting the report from Coach, and then I'm booted out. All right.
Tough.
Right.
But
cold game.
Like I said, that boy Damian was looking smooth out there. He was looking smooth, man. I like that color suit and tie. What would you classify that color as?
It was like it was a linen blue. Like it was like sunny yesterday. Yeah. So I rocked something, with the little, it was a very casual suit. I didn't like the tie. I was like, I don't want to wear the tie, and I wanted to take it off, but then it
worked. It was good. It was good. I liked it. And you talk about, it's good outside. Give you a little mini weather report. Looks like we're gonna have our first little warm weekend of the year next weekend.
Let's go,
bruh. People are gonna be out.
Let's be responsible.
Let's wear your mask.
Let's be responsible. Let's be responsible. Yeah, let's be responsible. But let's go out, man. Let's enjoy that weather for sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I caught a peek of that as well. Let's talk about the tournament here for just a couple of minutes. I do want to get to LaMelo Ball as that opens things up, and I know this is a terrible way of looking at it, but We don't cover the Charlotte Hornets. We cover the Sacramento Kings. So LaMelo Ball's injury does mean something for Tyrese Halliburton and the Sacramento Kings. So we'll get to that in a heartbeat. You're a big tournament guy. You've been on TV all weekend talking about it with Coach Katz. Like, what's stood out to you over the course of the first weekend in the round of 32 now as we head into the Sweet 16?
Well, the main thing that stood out to me was that my partner was right. my partner, and I mean this partner, not Coach was right too, but my partner here, Damian Bartling, was correct. He said it's going to be a crazy tournament. There's going to be a lot of upsets, and we've seen that. Yeah. And that is what has stood out to me. That was one of the things. Mm-hmm. Before I get into the next thing, I got to ask you a question real quick. Has there been too many upsets for your liking?
Yeah, I know we talked about that like a little bit last week, how people like the Cinderella story, like, but only for a certain amount of time. And then it's kind of like, okay, let's see the big teams play. Because of the nature of the season, I don't feel like that exists this year. Because I don't feel like, I don't know who the definitive favorite is. I don't even think you could constitute Gonzaga as the definitive favorite. Like, they went undefeated, and like, that's fine. But we talked about the fact that there weren't any out-of-conference games and how this is going to play into this, how this is going to play into for a team like Gonzaga, how it's going to play into it for a team like Oral Roberts. You know what I mean? Like, they're having their defining moment here during the tournament. So, no, it actually, it doesn't bother me that there are this many upsets. The only thing, and I don't know, like, it's a stretch to say I'm concerned about it, but the one thing that I did think of this morning, you know, is if teams like Oral Roberts continue to win, or Loyola or whoever, and you get to these teams in the Final Four, or, you know, even if we hit a note and one of them wins the national title, right? Extreme example. I don't want it to be framed as, well, yeah, in that weird year, in that weird COVID year, or that weird, you know, I feel like it's going to always have this, like, it's going to have an attachment to it. If Michigan wins, there's not going to be anything attached to it because Michigan is right. Capable. If Gonzaga goes undefeated, that's the only way for them to win the national title now. They would be undefeated. I think there will be a mention of the season.
As there should be.
I mean, I don't think winning in any way, shape, or form should be diminished by the type of weird season that it is. But I think that's played into, you know, why we saw all these upsets and why in this case I'm good with it. I like it.
If Gonzaga won and they went undefeated, I mean, that's what they did. They won. Mm-hmm. They're the champions. The rings they get, the banners they get, you don't give that back. You know what I mean? But to tell the story, you got to tell the story. You know what I mean? And I'm going to think just like the Lakers. I'm not saying that their championship last year was less than or anything, but to tell the story, you got to tell the story. So that's all that would be. You mentioned Oral Roberts. Mm-hmm. Got a question for you. Couple of questions. Do you know where Oral Roberts is at?
I don't.
You want to take a guess?
Nope. Nope, I don't.
What about time zone? You want to take a guess on the time zone?
No.
No. Oral Roberts is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had no clue. Now, I'm not saying all this because I know. I looked all this up. Let me ask you another question. Well, it's not even a question. You know any of the famous alumni from Oral Roberts?
Nope.
Kathy Lee Gifford.
Okay.
Joel Osteen.
You're really gearing towards a certain demographic with these Oral Roberts grads. Okay.
Well, what else we got? Carlton Pearson.
Okay.
You know who that is?
Nope.
No, I don't, but I don't either. But he's I guess of the culture. Now here's the doozy. Do you know any famous NBA players from Oral Roberts?
Can you just assume moving forward that all of my answers are no? Because I'm confident they're all no.
You ain't never heard of Anthony Jones?
Yeah, the great Anthony Jones. Sure, big Aunt Joe. No.
What about Greg Sutton?
No.
Mark Gottfried. You heard of him?
Okay. All right.
In the 7th round of the 87 draft. Oral Roberts, one of the
87.
This is one of the great stories in the history.
What round did you just say?
In the 7th round of the 87 draft.
There were 7 rounds in the NBA draft in 1987.
Yeah, man. I forgot
how many NBA players were there. Jesus Christ,
a ton. I forgot when they went to just 2 rounds, but for a long time, yeah, there was. I don't know why. I have no idea why they did this, but they had lots of rounds. Bill Laimbeer was drafted in the 3rd round. I saw that over the weekend.
Okay.
So, yeah, they had multiple rounds. But, yeah, man, Oral Roberts knocking off Ohio State, knocking off Florida. Only the 2nd time a 15 seed has made it to the Sweet 16.
Did you leave out one important Oral Roberts?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, because there's some people in the chat, and now I'm confused as to
No, they're wrong.
Where exactly?
Wrong. Daquan went to Tulsa. Oral Roberts is in Tulsa. Daquan went to Tulsa.
Okay, so are we done with Oral Roberts, or like?
Oh, we're gonna have to talk about him again.
Okay, all right.
They're going to the.
Do you have a long segment on? Do you have a big segment with Coach Katz tonight planned on Oral Roberts?
Hopefully, we're talking about Michigan going to the Sweet 16 for.
Can you drop an Oral the Snake Roberts line into television tonight?
I'll work on it.
Oral the Snake Roberts.
I'm gonna make it happen.
If you do that, that's a nod to all of us. That's a nod to the show right there. That's a nod to D-Lo and KC and the whole crew here. If you can slide in a Oral the Snake Roberts, and if you double points if you say Oral Roberts hit him with a DDT.
What if I only do one? Like, what if I can get the DDT in, but I couldn't get the snake?
You got to get the snake in. I'd argue that Oral the Snake Roberts is more important than the DDT. But if you could work them both in, that'd be solid professional work on your part.
USC Kansas on CBS 13. We're going to be on right after that. So around 9 o'clock or so, I'm going to work it in. Oral the Snake Roberts, hit him with a DDT.
Yep.
I'm going to work with those in there. Okay. All right. We're going to work on that. There was something else I was about to ask you about the tournament. I can't remember.
Leezy wants to know, did you get all that news on Oral Roberts in the newspaper?
Absolutely not.
Did you pull up Encyclopedia Britannica? And did you pull out the O encyclopedia and look up Oral Roberts?
I never dipped into the encyclopedia.
I didn't see if you had the encyclopedia in your private loft. Like Kenny has this door that turns around, kind of like in Batman, where it reveals like the secret cave. That's his loft, and I think that's where the studio is. I'm not sure, but it's part of the Caraway household there.
I will say this though, got big things popping this summer here. Construction will be going on around Casa de Caraway. Big things popping. Oh, yeah.
Because the last time construction was going on at your house, like it went really well for the show.
What happened? What was going on? Oh,
they were putting in your floor. They were putting in your floor, and they were banging those tiles together for 2 hours. Is this the basketball court? Is this the basketball court outside that's happening?
A little basketball court action, a little pergola action, a little something here and there. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. NCAA related.
Mm-hmm.
I see you, Deuce. I always know it's Deuce. All right. The guy who can name 12 teams for an NBA player, like Felton Spencer. He can name all 12 teams he played on.
Kenny recorded his CBS 13 segment on a VHS, Deuce is suggesting.
Yeah, I still got tapes in my mom's storage. So Bill Raftery. Mm-hmm. I love Bill Raftery. Mm-hmm. Is he the Ric Flair to Dick Vitale's Hulk Hogan? Where for a long time, Dick Vitale was that dude. But now everybody loves Raftery. Puppies, onions, miniment.
That's a fair analogy because I'm not the biggest Dick Vitale fan. So
I still like him. I used to really like
not my Vitale. Like the shtick doesn't. I know that some people love it. It just doesn't work for me. It's not my favorite. That's a fair comp. That's a fair comp.
Love me some Raftery.
I know you. I know you love some. Oh, by the way, good luck to the UC Davis women as well. Coach Russ and Sarah Hall.
Yeah.
that crew is in. I spent an uncomfortable amount of time watching Baylor yesterday. They were up by like 60 the whole game, and for some reason I just sat there and continued to watch it. I'm not really sure why. I wanted to check in on it, and then it was like,
but you turned off
just
the Kings.
Stayed there. Like, yeah, I was like, why am I continuing to watch this Kim Mulkey led Baylor team who, you know, shouldn't even be talking about them until they get into a matchup with, you know, I think they're in UConn's division if I remember correctly.
That's gonna be some good stuff right there.
I don't think. I mean, yeah. I mean, Paige Beckers was a baller yesterday.
Tell the people what she did if they didn't know.
She had, I think she scored the most points by a UConn player in her first game. I think UConn topped 100 yesterday. It's what you'd expect in a first round game. Mm-hmm. And again, if no one knocks off UConn this year, get comfortable hearing UConn is the national champion, because I don't think they're losing next year. I don't think they're losing the year after. We could be looking at a Breanna Stewart situation where we see 4 straight titles for UConn with the crew that they're going to have next year, and AZ coming in and Claude have mercy. I'll be rooting for Duke, but it's going to be tough to knock off UConn for the next couple of years with AZ headed in there.
Yeah, that's another thing that reminded me, because I saw this in the women's game. And it reminded me of what I've seen all weekend in the NCAA tournament. Refereeing is at an all-time low. I mean, the level of refereeing and incompetence that I've seen over the past 4 days, it's truly embarrassing, Damian. Mm-hmm. And I'm a guy that defends refereeing. I've ref games, you know, like CYBL games or whatever. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And I could imagine if you got these really big, physical, fast guys going up and down the floor and bumping into each other, that it could be difficult. But I mean, it's beyond incompetence at this point. There's too many fouls called, like entirely too many fouls. That's the one negative from this weekend is refereeing is terrible.
Well, I think they've been watching some of their friends in the NBA, and they've seen how that's gone so far this season. And also I think you can see that in the time that it takes to review a play, which now takes 47 minutes.
Oh my God. I was sitting there and I was watching a play. It was UCLA and BYU. And I was sitting there with the Queen Bee, and I was like, look, we'll figure this out within 2 replays. Like, what happened? And that's what we did. 2 replays. Boom. UCLA ball. It took them another 2 minutes to get the call right. It's like, come on, man.
Believable. Yeah, believable. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Rookie of the Year call. Now, unfortunately, LaMelo Ball fractured his wrist. He is going to be out for the rest of the season. Absolutely brutal news for the Charlotte Hornets. Honestly, brutal news for the NBA, as we have enjoyed watching LaMelo Ball. He is a superstar in the making, 100%. This dude is a superstar in the making, but he's going to lose out on the rest of his year. And, you know, we're not trying to be insensitive. It sucks that he's gone. We're both big fans of him. We enjoy what Charlotte is doing. Charlotte is a good League Pass team, but we cover the Sacramento Kings. So, you know, much like the LeBron James conversation being out for a month, Joel Embiid being out for a couple of weeks, maybe the door is wide open here as it pertains to the 2021 MVP award. I think the same is true now for the Rookie of the Year award. Can Tyrese Halliburton slide in and capture the Rookie of the Year with LaMelo Ball on the bench the rest of the season?
I think he would have to really step up his game. Like, he'd have to start playing really well, more closer to that first 3 weeks or so of the season, maybe a month that he was playing. But I think we've seen enough of LaMelo where he is still a front runner. You know,
even with 30 games going, you think he could still win the MVP? I mean, I'm sorry, the Rookie of the Year. Sorry, the Rookie of the Year.
I do. I think Tyrese and Anthony Edwards would have to really go to work.
Anthony Edwards has a lot of work ahead of him just because the Timberwolves are so bad.
Yeah. But I'll put it to you like this. If they continue to play how they're playing now, if I had a vote, I'd vote for LaMelo.
Okay.
They're gonna have to act like LaMelo is still there and step up their game if they want to overtake him as the rookie of the year.
And I think you're right about Tyrese in that Tyrese, the guy we saw at the start of the season, he hasn't really been the same since returning from that injury.
No.
And he hasn't been the same since returning, after the All-Star break, and still on a minutes restriction, according to Luke Walton. But he didn't play well against Boston. He didn't play well against Philadelphia either. Again, I don't think it's a stretch to say he hasn't played well since that injury. He hasn't played well since the second half of the season started. So this version of Tyrese Halliburton certainly isn't going to get it done. But we've seen, if now it doesn't seem as egregious. But remember Malcolm Brogdon won the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
And he averaged like 9 points per, like he wasn't the guy, we see now. He was good, and it's like, okay, this is a good player, but because of the way things shook out, it was like, okay, I guess Malcolm Brogdon's the Rookie of the Year. It'll be fascinating to see if voters, because I think it's clear cut. He finishes the season, LaMelo Ball's the Rookie of the Year. Like, he's been outstanding. But if Tyrese can get back to, and I'm not even talking about improving, if just Tyrese can get back to the way that he was playing at the beginning of the year, I think it'll be tough to say the guy who, because I don't think he's going to win Western Conference Rookie of the Month this month. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's going to go to Anthony Edwards or someone we're not even talking about, but I don't think it's going to Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah. He's got to get back to the way he was playing earlier, and then he could have the inside track on this award. I don't know what this award ultimately means. I don't know if Tyrese cares. I don't know that's a big deal. It feels like it's a big deal. Of course, the Sacramento Kings have in recent history seen a Rookie of the Year. Didn't really work out too well, but it's nice to have that recognition again, I guess.
If he's in the conversation and we're able to make a legitimate argument for him being Rookie of the Year, that means he's stepped up his game and he's playing really well. So I hope that he does make that push and he gets real consideration. But as it is right now, I think he's averaging like 12 and 5 or something like that. It's cool, but I've seen enough from LaMelo that he would still be Rookie of the Year.
So even if Tyrese goes back to the way that he was playing at the beginning of the year, you still don't think he could win the award?
He could, but if you went back to how he was playing at the beginning of the year, I think he was averaging like 16 points a game. Like, I think
that's what I'm talking about. Like, I understand the way that he's playing right now isn't good enough. Like, I completely get that.
Yeah.
And with the way Tyrese is playing right now, and with the fact that Anthony Edwards can't help his team at all win basketball games, I would be completely fine. And I don't even think I would argue if unless Tyrese, blew it out the water. I wouldn't argue if you said LaMelo Ball is the Rookie of the Year when this is all said and done and he only played half the season.
Yeah. No, we're on the same page. Look, Tyrese can, if he picks it back up to how he did at the beginning of the season, but as is, it's not enough at this point.
It's kind of nauseating to think that James Harden might just back himself into an MVP award.
Okay. Well, how you frame that? May back himself into the MVP award. Yeah, I could make the argument the only reason why he wouldn't win it now is because like people just don't like how Houston went down. Because if it's about basketball, there ain't no backing into how he's playing.
No, he's backing into it now because Joel Embiid is out and because LeBron James is out. He wasn't the MVP with those two guys healthy.
And that's because it was the narrative around him leaving Houston. If it was about basketball, Embiid and Bron could be there right now. And James Harden has every single argument in the world to be the MVP.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Why not?
Because he changed teams 10 games into the season. He went to play. He went to play with Kyrie, who's not playing. By the way, Kyrie's just
out for 3 games.
He's dealing with family matters. That's what it says. He's staying home to tend to a family situation. Is Kevin Durant back yet? Is Kevin Durant on the same rehab plan Anthony Davis is on? Are these two ever going to play basketball again? Are these career-ending injuries for these two guys?
Taking it slow with KD. Taking it slow. But James
Harden's had a good season. He with both of these guys healthy, he's not the MVP. But the trophy might fall in his damn lap.
Well, we're getting to the point where the majority of the season they aren't going to be healthy. They aren't going to be there, and they're winning games. And he's putting up a crazy numbers. And I'm not a James Harden stan. I'm not crazy about James Harden, but And I don't believe him in the postseason. That's for sure. But what he's able to do in the regular season, in this particular regular season, it's crazy, bro.
Well, if we're just talking about regular seasons, then let's give it to Giannis.
Giannis should be in the discussion.
Yeah, Giannis could be, but you know, I think part of the reason that Giannis can't win his third is because voters get in their feelings about him not winning an NBA championship.
And voters want their feelings about James Harden and what happened in Houston. Well, like I said, if it was about basketball, Giannis would be in there. We've said that numerous times.
If it was about basketball, LeBron James would have be like the 12 time. He'd be the Ric Flair of MVP winners. 16-time woo MVP award winner. That's what he would be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not.
You know how many titles Randy Orton has, by the way?
No,
14.
I was going to say 16. I was going to say 16.
He's got 14.
Wow.
I think Cena has 16, Orton has 14, and Triple H has 14.
Wow.
Does anybody get to that sacred 17 number? Because if anybody of those three guys that I just named does it, it's your boy. Orton's the only one who's still a full-time wrestler.
So I think the way wrestling works, I think Roman would be able to, but I think they're going to have this long run with him with the strap, and you can't get that many with this long run. Like he's going on a year. Is it a year?
It's 250 something days, I think, 260 something days. They said it last night, but it's 200 something.
And I don't think he's losing a WrestleMania. I think it'll go to some that's the type of guy that Vince would keep in the spotlight and keep giving the strap, but he's not losing it for like a year and a half.
His match with Bryan last night was really, really good. I thought they told a phenomenal story. I thought it was really good, man. We'll step out. We'll come back. Speaking of on this day 22 years ago, plus there's some NFL news to talk about. We'll get back to the Kings. Lots more coming up as D'Lo and KC continue here on radio.com and on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320.
I hear voices.
Orton presented this he kind of he didn't say it as here's the scenario, but he just kind of threw it out there. Mm-hmm. He was like, the way, dude, how cool would it be if it was if I had 16 title wins, Cena had 16 title wins, and we have this match and Ric Flair is like the special referee, and it's like, oh my God.
That would be. So what was it about the interview that kind of had you thinking about Orton in a different light? I mean, you already respected him, but
yeah, I already thought he was good.
To our argument.
So one thing I was thinking about as he was talking was he talked about how these different runs that he had with Evolution and all of the issues that he had in the early the late 2000. I think he gave a time frame of 2006 to late 2007 where he was just whether he was an ass or he was injured or whatever, but he was suspended. Mm-hmm. But I just started thinking when was Randy Orton the man? Mm-hmm. And it's never. Randy Orton was never the man, and it was okay, he's been a super, super key important part, and he's wrestled Cena 1,000 times and unified titles and did all of that. And I was thinking, I was thinking about your thing about him passing up Triple H, and I was thinking, when was Triple H the man? And despite popular, I don't think that he was.
I don't think so.
He beat everybody.
Right.
But he wasn't the man. He ascended while Rock and Austin were still around. Think about his WrestleMania main events. One was against Jericho. It was awful. Oh. It was just terrible. And he was a baby face, so it was weird. He had the WrestleMania main event at 2000, which was arguably the worst WrestleMania ever. And I wasted my money to be there. And then I think he had WrestleMania 19 with Booker T, where God, that's a relive episode in and of itself. And then people like you can't be WWE champion.
Oh man,
it's yeah, we know we didn't see one until a couple years ago. But you just look at all those moments and you go, he was never the man. It was Austin, Rock. Even when Hunter was still around, they were trying to make Brock Lesnar the man. Mm-hmm. And then when it wasn't Brock Lesnar, it was John Cena. Like he was never the guy.
Right.
Nah, dude, you're wrong. He was not over as a babyface, Warren. He was not the man. He was so much better as a heel, and then he starts doing the goofy DX stuff. Like it never not the original DX stuff, the goofy 2000s DX stuff with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
it was. I just don't think he was ever that guy.
The other thing that I think about with Triple H, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that probably hurts him with argument with me, is I feel like he was placed himself in a lot of those top billings.
So a lot of I understand people who feel like that, because he married the boss's daughter, he has a corporate position, I get that, but people he was really, really good.
He was
he was great. Yeah. And then, I think he had a match in early 2000 with Mick Foley that I think changed the trajectory of his entire career at Royal Rumble. And then he became everything kind of evolved and changed for him, and his look changed a little bit. But still, it was still Rock Austin. He was important. He was a huge, huge player. Right. But he wasn't Hogan. He wasn't Rock. He wasn't Austin. He wasn't Cena. He wasn't any of those guys. Yeah. And now, obviously he doesn't wrestle now, but I feel like it's Roman. Roman's the closest guy in that conversation. But Randy's work is incredible right now. Yeah. As we roll along here, we'll get some NFL news and notes, and then we'll dive back into the Sacramento Kings, get back into the rumors about Marvin Bagley, Rashaan Holmes, John Collins, and oh, by the way, the Sacramento Kings wrap up their 6-game road trip in Cleveland tonight. We'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. You want to be a part of the conversation, a great way to do it is to watch the show on twitch.tv/ESPN1320. We hope that you'll follow us there or subscribe to the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. You could take part in the conversation right there in the chat, or give us a call at 916-349-1320. On this day, 22 years ago, arguably one of the most famous wrestling segments in history took place. The infamous beer bath. It was, lost in this tremendous scene of Stone Cold Steve Austin driving a beer truck out to the stadium, or out to the arena, was the fact that before he turned on that beer, and he tells the story the first however many gallons, it's all beer before it turns to water. He's literally spraying everybody with beer. But the lost in all of that is he cuts this phenomenal promo on The Rock. He looks at The Rock, says, "Take those stupid glasses off and look at me when I'm talking to you. You're sitting here talking about your nursery rhymes and Know Your Old Boulevard and Jaboni Drive. When I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to go into Boston, check into the SmackDown Hotel, check into room 316, and burn that son of a bitch." It was such a great promo that gets lost because everybody remembers the beer part.
Yeah.
And I think this was a moment when you look back on it, if you lived through that era of wrestling and you look back at it, there's one thing watching it back this morning is it's all over Sports Center and all over, House of Highlights and everything. When Austin is spraying the beer, you're looking at Austin, you're looking at a young Rock, and I realize the most incredible performer in the ring is Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince.
Starts swimming. He starts acting like he's swimming in the beer, and it's just this ridiculous sight. And I'm watching him going, there isn't a performer perhaps in the history of professional wrestling who is better than the character that turned out to be the Mr. McMahon character.
Mr. McMahon is, like you said, maybe the best ever. We're not going to go too long into this, I promise, Danny in San Francisco. But what made Vince get in the game, in the stories?
I think part of it was the thing with Bret Hart that happened in 1997, like the November of 1997 thing where like he had already been kind of revealed that he was a performer and he had already gotten stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it was like, you know, the kind of the curtain was being pulled back, you know what I mean? And like, we knew, okay, Vince isn't like a commentator, like he owns the company.
Yeah.
And so the Bret Hart situation happened and that got like real life attention. And, you know, he started to get booed. And so I think like he decided he was going to get involved in the storyline with The Rock and Austin, like the young version of The Rock and Austin, not to be confused with that horrible show on NBC.
But corporate champion.
And like, then they just realized like, oh, the crowd is reacting to him. Let's continue to use him. And you just see over the course of like 7 or 8 months, this build of the Mr. McMahon character. And it's I mean, perfect. Arguably the greatest character development in wrestling history. Like it really is just something else.
His convulsion when he took like the first stunner was
he took the only guy in history. Like when you look at the worst stunners in ever, they've all been taken by McMahon's, whether it was Vince, Linda, or I mean, Donald Trump took a pretty bad one also. Like, but yeah, just bad. Like his eyes are wide open, and you know he has because he knows how to produce television, right? So you remember WrestleMania, the one where he fought Hogan. He fought Hulk Hogan, and I think it was WrestleMania 19. And he emerges from under like the side of the ring and he's covered in blood and he has this like evil look on. It's one of the greatest like camera shots ever. And it's just the brilliance of him, his character in understanding television. Like I questions him a little bit in some of his stuff, but as a business person, I have tremendous admiration for that dude.
He truly is a genius when it comes to what he's built with that. Absolutely.
He absolutely is. And perhaps the Seattle Seahawks are geniuses too.
No,
You think they might have consulted Russell Wilson on re-signing Chris Carson this weekend?
No,
I didn't think so either. Russ did tweet though. Big time. Let's go 32.
That was so generic.
That's all I said. Big time. Let's go 32. I don't know what it meant, but that's what he tweeted.
Why are they messing around with each other? Why are they playing around? Just get divorced now.
ESPN 1320's college hoops coverage all tournament long is brought to you by Elk Grove Dodge and the Elk Grove Auto Mall and online at elkgrovedodge.com. I don't know. But I saw the story. I was like, okay, this is all kidding aside, this is good for Seattle. And then I saw Russ's tweet. It was like, okay.
What he's saying is let's go.
Big time. Let's go 32.
Oh my gosh. He could care less.
Your boy Tart, by the way, that happened earlier. What's his first name? Jaquaski. I always get it wrong. Yeah, he re-signed with the San Francisco 49ers for a year. Deshaun Jackson headed to Los Angeles. He's going to go play with the Rams.
Deshaun going back home, going back to L.A.
Deshaun is dangerous. But Kings fans, stop me if you heard this before. Only if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's healthy, he's he's a little bit older now, but if he's healthy, he's still a potential breakout, like game-changing receiver. It's just he's not healthy very often.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, and he's only getting older.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And I do think it was a good signing for the Rams. I think that's a good risk worth taking with Sean McVay and now with Matthew Stafford. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where he's definitely good for a year, and that's all he's got left in him is that 1 year. Could be, but I know the Niners and everybody in that division, they better get their weight up in the secondary. Got to get their weight up in the secondary because the Rams they're ready. They're going to be ready to take off this season when it comes to what they do on the offensive end.
Well, those I mean, Chris Carson is he's important to Seattle for sure, though you and I don't think particularly highly of Seattle right now. We feel like this Russell Wilson scenario, or excuse me, this Russell Wilson situation, it's going to linger over. Like if he's still with the Seahawks at the beginning of the season, it's going to linger around when games start to be played, and he's going to be asked about it in press conferences. And if he doesn't say "Go Hawks" after every interview, people are going to question like what exactly is going on here. But getting their running back locked up, that's an important part of what they do. And we wondered, like, okay, they didn't put the franchise tag on him. Like, what does this mean for his future there? Deshaun Jackson, maybe he could get one more productive year here in Los Angeles. The NFC West continues to kind of, whether it's minimal firepower or a lot of firepower, they continue to add pieces. I mean, Deshaun Jackson with Matt Stafford, that's a deep target for Matt Stafford's big arm. Like I think that's an important acquisition for them, again, with the prerequisite that he stays healthy. This continues to be a division that's going to shake out to be pretty difficult for the San Francisco 49ers.
I think it's the best division in all of football, once again, and only being compared to probably the AFC North. That might be the other top division in the game with the Steelers and the Browns and the Ravens.
Okay.
But I mean, the Niners, as good as I feel about what they've been able to do so far, getting Trent Williams back, signing Juice, bringing back Jason Verrett, even bringing back Tart. I want to see them get some big time playmakers on both sides of the ball in the draft. I want playmakers. I don't want nothing just solid. I need some guys. Like if they go get a receiver, I need a receiver that can go to the house at any time. That's what I need. Big play guy. Okay. They get a running back, I need a big play guy. Although at running back, they have a big play guy in Raheem Mostert, but you don't want to have him as an every down back. So you probably want to get a big bruising running back in the draft if you're the 49ers.
The theme of today's show, guys can be really good when they're healthy.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert, he falls into that same conversation we were having, 2 hours ago about Marvin Bagley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was listening, as we started to work together and you were talking about the 49ers and Raheem Mostert potentially being one of the top running backs in the league. It's kind of like, okay, like I see it. I get it. Top 10 running back. Like, okay, I see it. I get it. My man can't stay on the field. Like every frustration that you have with Marvin Bagley or everything that we talk about with Marvin and his ability to be productive for the Sacramento Kings, I think you could have those same conversations about Raheem Mostert with the San Francisco 49ers.
And see, the thing with Raheem, though, is the Niners, there's another conversation we had earlier. They paid him or they restructured it. They had incentives. He wanted to get in there. So he had to carry a bigger load. They're like, all right, if you want this money, we're going to give you 20 carries a game. He can't do that. Raheem is a 12 carry a game type of dude.
Then they need another running back, man.
Absolutely.
They absolutely need a running back that can handle the Brock.
Absolutely. That needs to be on their list. And even if it's not it doesn't have to be, like I said, I wanted a playmaker. It doesn't necessarily have to be that type of guy. You need a guy that when you want to run in between the tackles, you can get him the rock. Raheem Mostert, he's a sports car. You get him on those tosses, get him out on the perimeter, get blocks, with the guard pull and things of that nature, and let him use his speed. That's what he does. But when you want to get in them trenches, you need a guy like Brandon Jacobs back in the day. You know what I mean? The guy that can take those carries in between the tackles, get you through the 4 yards, and set you up, Raheem Mostert. Because if you try to go more than 15 carries a game for Raheem Mostert, he's going to break down. Even when he came in that 2019 season, he hadn't been playing all year. Mm-hmm. He came in the final 7 games of the season, and he was fresh. He was good to go, and he exploded. That's how you got to use Raheem Mostert, in my opinion. So, yeah, they need to go get a running back in the draft, somebody that can tote the rock.
Jason Jones tweeted this do you think they take a running back in the draft?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think they feel the same way about Raheem.
Okay. You're listening to D'Lo and Casey on KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ, HD2 Sacramento, or radio.com sports station, and driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. He's Kenny Caraway. I am Damian Barling. We appreciate you so much for being with us here on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 and the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. We'll be with you for another hour before we head out to some more NCAA college basketball coverage. Gonzaga beat Oklahoma today, 87-71. Oregon with a victory over Iowa, 95-80, as we inch closer and closer to the Sweet 16. Let's get Eric in here real quick. I want to get back to the Kings, and I want to read this tweet from Jason Jones. But let's get to Eric. Eric, what's going on, baby?
Well, I'm curious if the tweet from Jason Jones is true now, but on the Niners, I can't believe that you just compared Marvin Bagley and Raheem Mostert. That is, you're blaspheming with Raheem Mostert right there. I couldn't just sit in the car and just let that go. Like, Bagley always said, doesn't make the Kings any better. He's good. He's got obviously he's got a skill set and he's got a ceiling that he's nowhere close to. But Raheem makes his team a lot better. And you can't call Raheem soft or fragile or anything like that. Like, they couldn't keep anybody on the field last season. That wasn't a Raheem Mostert thing. That was you saw the article probably this morning. It was the second most injured in history last season. And it was a flashback to 2017, I think it was, when they kept getting dudes with broken arms like every damn week. It was like, oh my God, I can't watch this anymore because it's heartbreaking. Everybody keeps going out with ACLs, broken arms, broken legs. So
I appreciate that you. No, I'm seriously questioning what exactly you heard. I didn't say anything of the sort. All I was saying, Eric. No, I didn't. All I said, Eric, was I made the comparison of Raheem Mostert not being on the field in relation to Kenny's point earlier today when we were talking about Marvin Bagley's inability to stay on the floor. I wasn't calling Raheem Mostert soft or anything close to the equation.
No, I know. You weren't saying that. I just didn't like the pairing of the two names. Like,
excuse me.
He doesn't need to be in that same thing. I mean, people put people's names together, but they don't belong together.
Okay, I'm sorry, Eric. Will you forgive me?
I do.
Okay.
I'm glad we could talk it out. I will say this, though. I think it's not that far off, but it's not forgiving Marvin Bagley. When Marvin Bagley was in there his rookie year, when he went down, everybody was like, well, that's it for the playoffs because of how well he was playing. Like, he does. I think that's a little unfair. Like,
that feels like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. Like, I got a little heartbroken with the Marvin situation, and plus, Marvin Bagley, as Dave calls him, isn't helping the situation much. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, let's make a clean break. But I'm not ready to break with Raheem Mostert. Like, that dude is electric with the ball in his hand.
For sure. No doubt.
Give him a team. And they couldn't give him a team last year. Like, he's running on a butt ankle because we had no line.
I absolutely love how much Eric is worked up. Eric, we appreciate you. And who the hell is Dave?
Yeah, it's Big Marv over here.
Who the hell is Dave? He's just referencing some guy named Dave. Like, yeah, this is what Dave said. Like, I'm sorry. Okay, like, cool.
The Nacho Man. What was his name? The Huckster?
That was it. Yeah, it was the Huckster and the Nacho and Billionaire Ted. Yes, indeed.
Oh, and what was they had Mean Gene in there too, right?
Scheme Gene. Yep, Scheme Gene.
Scheme Gene.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. By the way, we got to get back to the Kings and get ready for this game tonight. But Alexa Bliss throwing fire and a burnt up Bray Wyatt emerging from the bottom of the ring is one of my favorite things that I've seen in wrestling in like 5 years. I thought it was so fire. Great.
You texted me yesterday. You were like, yo, this is crazy. And I forgot Fastlane was on. So I was like, no, I got to go watch it. And I saw that part. And I was like, these all three of them are killing it. I just love what they're doing. They're killing it.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping like Marvin Bagley's career emerges like the Fiend did from the bottom of the ring last night, all burnt up, but ready to whoop somebody's ass. But it may not be with the Sacramento Kings. Jason Jones tweeted this just a little bit ago. No shock. Detroit would reject a Bagley Bay deal per Yahoo. I've been told previously teams interested in Bagley hoped the Kings would give up and deal him for next to nothing just to start over. Again, that's Jason Jones responding to the report from Chris Haynes and Yahoo about Detroit rejecting a trade proposal from the Sacramento Kings that was for the former number 2 overall pick, Marvin Bagley, for Saddiq Bey, who was taken. He was a guy we actually talked a lot about heading into last year's draft, but he wound up being taken 19th overall. He's about 10 per game right now, 10 and 4 right now. But
I think
Detroit
a lot of people are really low on Marvin Bagley right now because of the injuries, and they don't like the things that's going on with his dad and all this other stuff. I think Marvin Bagley is and is going to be a better player than Saddiq Bey. So take that for what you want. I'm not sitting there to say Detroit is stupid because they got their own plans, for Saddiq Bey or whatever. But let's how I feel, at least personally, make no mistake about it. I think Marvin Bagley is and will be a better player than Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey is cool.
Okay,
he's cool. You can find him all over the place.
How about this? Will Marvin Bagley be a better player than Saddiq Bey in a Sacramento Kings uniform?
Yeah, I find it hard so I'll put it to you like this. I find it hard to believe that Saddiq Bey will put up 15 points and 8 rebounds a night. He may be a better defender, but
what if he plays 78 games in an 82-game season?
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, like I said, that's assuming health on that. Like if Marvin stays healthy, which you can't do. you
can't assume he stays healthy. That's right.
That's the biggest knock on him. Can't assume that.
Yep.
But if he were to stay healthy, I don't think Saddiq Bey will ever be better than Marvin Bagley. Saddiq Bey, one of them dudes, man. He's cool, but you can find Saddiq Bey anywhere.
What do you think the attraction was then? Was it as simple as like, let's start over, let's get a young player who has a ton of years on a ton, but he has 3 years left on his rookie deal? Like, he's a first year player. Like we have him on the cheap for a long time. We believe that he could develop, or we believe that he could be good. Do you think this was just a simple let's start over and try to get a young guy in return?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think they're ready to move on from Marvin. He's not in their future plans. So, like you said, they aimed high. What's the worst in asking? I think Saddiq Bey was a top 15 for sure pick.
He was 19.
19? Okay.
19
okay.
pick,
yeah, 19 pick. He was projected to go earlier.
He was projected to go a lot higher. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which is why we were having conversations about him with the 12th pick. Okay. I just like you mentioned aim high. Saddiq Bey aiming high, and that's not a knock on Saddiq Bey. I'm just like, we're ready to swap out a number 2 pick for a number 19 pick. This wasn't a number 2 pick like 10 years ago. This was a number 2 pick who's still on his rookie deal right now. He still has a year left on his rookie deal, and we're ready. I feel like if nothing else, if absolutely nothing else at all, this leaked news from Chris Haynes gives us. This tells us exactly what the Kings organization thinks of Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, and you're right. Is that selling high? That's a great question to ask. I'll put it to you like this: Saddiq Bey wouldn't have been on my radar to ask for. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not a knock to the young man. Like, he's a good prospect, good young player. I don't have any problem with him. But if I'm trying to trade Marvin Bagley, I wouldn't even have looked at Detroit's roster and like Saddiq Bey. I don't know what they were necessarily thinking with that one.
I think another important thing here out of this news, and it doesn't involve the Detroit Pistons or Sadiq Bey or the rejected trade. It's the fact that a trade was out there, and it shows you, I think if nothing else, it shows you, and that might not mean by Thursday. It honestly might not even mean by the summer. I would think it has to be by the summer, and forgive that generic NBA term. This year, it's going to be late into the summer and perhaps into the early fall when free agency and stuff like that starts. But this tells you, like, Marvin Bagley is not a part of the Kings' future.
No, not at all.
That seems pretty definitive. Like, we've talked about core, we've talked about core, and this is like a boat that Marvin is on, with like Jabari Parker right now. It's like he's just one of those guys who's not going to be a part of this team moving forward.
And I don't know if that's how you feel. I would move him on Thursday. I mean, what are we waiting for?
I don't think you have to give him away. I don't think you have to okay.
I don't think it's any better.
And that's playing. That's what this boils down to. Are we at the point of, are we talking irreconcilable differences? Like, are we at a point where we can't visit the kids together? Like, are we at a point where Marvin, like, when Marvin's healthy, do we get to the point where it's like, dude, just stay home? I don't think we're there yet, and obviously I have no idea. But are we at the point now where it's just this isn't going to work? It's not going to happen. These two entities aren't going to work together anymore.
Well, I think we are there at that point. But even when I say it's not going to get any better, I don't think the offers are going to get any better. Well, offers get any better if he's not playing and if he doesn't come back over the course of a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So if that's where your head is at, and I understand what you're talking about, you don't want to just give him away, but I don't see how you would have any choice, really. I can be somebody call in, get in the chat, Damien, if you have an epiphany of your own. Tell me how the offers would get better than what they are right now.
Well, you have the market cornered on epiphanies, but I mean, he is due back this season. He could continue to play. I was going to say I assume he'll be back in the starting lineup, but that's a dumb assumption. Like, he might not be. But he could be back to play. He could find a role on the bench. They could finally move Buddy to the bench. Buddy may not be a part of the team. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure. But maybe you hold out. Like, I think teams would look at this situation leading into Thursday and that, like, let's just hit them with a low ball. I want to get your response to that because I can tell by your face that you have one. And I want to get into this game tonight. It's the Kings and the Cavs. We'll give you the Kings ransom, brought to you by BetQL. We've got Kenny's keys to a Kings victory. We'll talk about John Collins. We'll talk about Rashaan Holmes. There's a lot more coming up. We're going commercial free until the top of the hour. And when D'Lo and KC return here on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320. Shoot. And do I need to do one more of McQueen and Elk Grove?
Danny didn't let me know, but if we're doing it how we did it the last time, I would assume maybe he wants you to hit it twice.
Okay. Thanks for reminding me about this 24-minute BetQL read we got here.
24 minutes.
It's a long.
Like this for the rest of our life. Ace, you're tripping. He said something earlier that he loves Triple H. He's tripping. Triple H was the man from 2001 to probably 2010-ish. Stop it.
I'm sorry, Ace. That is inaccurate.
Stop it.
Now, I think there's a difference between being the primary character on television and being the guy the entire company was built around. He was not, man. Cena was the guy the entire company was built around.
Cena was the guy. Hey.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Ted. Said he was calling back.
Where did he coach you at?
He coached me at the Salvation Army when I was in the 6th grade. And me and his son, we went to the same school all the way up until the 8th grade. So, and I still talk to Lamar to this day. So
I saw this and absolutely saw Sheamus. That's very much not what it says, but for some reason I saw Sheamus.
And that's actually a good point too. Sheamus. It's a good point too. Because we watch it as adults. I think we forget that at its essence, wrestling is for Reese. You know, like Reese moves the needle for what their business is more than us. Because Cena, Roman Reigns, when he was doing his thing, Daniel Bryan, like those are the guys that get you. I'm a perfect example. I wasn't really watching wrestling no more, but my son got here. And then he started watching it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm watching it. Then I'm taking him to Hell in a Cell. And I'm taking him. The Damians and the Deuce and Moes, would you say that they're rare? Not rare, but they're not as prevalent as Reese wants to go in a Hell in a Cell, so I'm going to take him to Hell in a Cell.
I actually disagree with you. I think the people that still drive the business there's me, you, Deuce, Mo, everyone in the chat, and then there's like this notch above them, above us. There's a notch above us in terms of our fandom, in that we pay to go to the event for us. We still order from WWEshop.com. Okay. We make sure that's the group that keeps. It's why, when they do the Attitude Era night. It's why every Hall of Famer now is from the Attitude Era, because they're still appealing to that demographic. They're still appealing to that same group. They're still, trying to drive that same, that same audience. Like Reese, did Reese care that The Undertaker retired? No, like everybody else did. You know what I mean? Like that older group did. So
that's a good point. I mean, I always thought it was the kids that generated the most, because you think about the cheering. Once again, Roman Reigns. The adults weren't cheering Roman Reigns, but the cheers were louder than the boos, and that's because, not that everybody's a kid in there, but you know what I mean. Like that's why he was. They always went crazy for him with the cheers.
I honestly don't know. There hit a certain point in my life where wrestling wasn't geared towards me anymore. But I genuinely don't know who it's geared to. Like watching last night, I go, okay, this is good. This is entertaining. Like, who's your demo? Like, who are you trying to get here? Like, who are you? Because when you were watching in, the late 90s, you knew what they were going for. You were going for 18 to 35-year-old men. Like, there were boobs everywhere. Like, that's what you were. That's what you were appealing to. Like now, it's like this weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
"24 college basketball teams woke up this morning still dreaming of it all. BetQL has data and insights on how to bet each of those 24 teams. Before you place another college basketball bet for the remaining games tonight, you've got to check BetQL. BetQL runs thousands of simulations and ranks them on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Those 5-star bets are your most profitable opportunities. So let BetQL help you cash in throughout the tournament. We started the day with 24 teams. There's less now. So for today only, get 32% off with promo code MARCH24 at BetQL.com/March. Again, that's 24% off with promo code MARCH24 at BetQL.com/March. We'll let you know what BetQL has to say about the Sacramento Kings game coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We want to go to these phone lines here real quick before we dive back into the Kings games and some of these trade rumors. 916-349-1320. I think we got Coach Ted here. Coach, what's happening?
What's up?
Ted, what's up, man? I'm good. What's up, Ted? Man, what's going on?
I appreciate you. We listen to your show. Pretty good show. I kind of like it. I've been listening to about 3 or 4 months.
I appreciate
very much.
I appreciate you, man. I remember in Salvation Army, 6th grade, I was learning, I was listening, you know what I mean? And now I'm applying that to how I look at basketball to this day, man.
We had good teams. We had good teams.
Oh, for sure.
For everybody.
Oh, for sure.
What I wanted to talk about is the tournament.
Uh-huh.
What's different
different about the tournament to you?
What's different about it to me? I think the different pods, like everything being in Indianapolis, I think that plays a little bit of a role. And I think the seeding, which it's never an exact science, it's all over the map this year because we haven't really seen these teams in their normal environments with conference play, out of conference play, things of that nature. So I think the seeding is all out of whack.
Okay, so you play basketball, right? You're a basketball player.
Yes, sir.
What I like about it that they're letting the kids go where they want to go. Well, it should have been like that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching these teams. They transfer this school. That's the way it should be.
Yeah,
I got you.
They go play for this school, go play for this school. You know, they used to have it where the coach can go, but the players can't go.
Right.
If they're going to keep doing that, the kids can transfer to another school because, you know, that's been a problem.
Yeah.
They
could get in the transfer portal. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate
Great to hear
you,
from
Coach.
you. We appreciate it. I should have asked if sixth grade Kenny played defense.
I did play defense. I wasn't as dynamic of a scorer as I ended up being on that team.
You had to
I
grow
was a
into
cool
it.
scorer. Yeah, but I wasn't. I really started getting buckets like that in around 8th grade.
Buckets Caraway, indeed. You heard Coach Ted there mention the tournament. ESPN 1320's college hoops coverage all tournament long is brought to you by McQueen and the Violet Fog Gin. We don't make much, but what we do make is damn good. My weekends can speak of that. It was absolutely fantastic, as it always is. We mentioned BetQL a couple of minutes ago. The Kings got a game tonight. We've been talking about trade rumors. We've been talking about rejected trades. We've been talking about Marvin Bagley. We'll get to Rashaan Holmes and John Collins here in just a minute, but the Kings have a basketball game tonight. As bad as things were on Saturday, as Kenny noted here to start the show, they have an opportunity to go 500 on a 6-game road trip. They have an opportunity to come back to the Golden One Center at 3-3 if they're able to get a win over a Cleveland Cavaliers team. I'll share my concerns about the Cavs in just a heartbeat. But right now, BetQL has the Sacramento Kings favored by 4 with an over-under right now at 222.5.
I think the Kings are better than the Cavs. Not a whole lot. It's not like they're just, they should win this game. I ain't saying none of that, but I think they're better than the Cavs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I could see that 4-point being what it is.
So we've touched on the trade rumors, and we're with you commercial free here to the top of the hour before we head back out to some NCAA coverage. We addressed the situation with Marvin Bagley and the Detroit Pistons and the rejected trade, but that's not the only trade rumor that is out there for the Sacramento Kings. As Shams wrote about in The Athletic today, several teams have expressed interest in Rashaan Holmes, including Toronto and Charlotte. Now, I think both of those teams are interesting. Both of those teams are playoff teams, by the way. Mm-hmm. I think they're interesting in the sense of, are they looking to get Rashaan Holmes in hopes of having an inside track of re-signing him this offseason? Like, what exactly... does the acquisition of Rashaan Holmes right now do for those two teams? Obviously, Charlotte's season drastically changed with the loss of LaMelo Ball over the weekend. But one important note that he did put out there at the end was something you and I have been talking about now for well over a week is this is a quote from Shams. He will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season and should command a strong market. Now, command a strong market could mean there's a lot of suitors. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who want to talk to there are a lot of people who want to talk to Rashaan Holmes' agent. There's a lot of people who want to talk to Rashaan Holmes about joining their club. Perfect. But what is the cost of a Rashaan Holmes to a Toronto, to a Charlotte, or to any other team who is looking to acquire him? I think that's the magic question. And it's a really important question for Monty McNair as well, because what is Monty McNair willing to pay if he wants Rashaan Holmes back? What is he willing to pay him this offseason, and is he willing to lose him for nothing?
It's really interesting when you try and break this thing down, because I've talked about my epiphany and bringing in that guy, and Monty has even talked about financial flexibility and having that ability. I think when a time strikes, when he says financial flexibility, it's not to be able to sign DeQuan to another 2-year deal. It's not to even retain some of the guys like a Fox and Halliburton. It is to when the time is right and the situation presents itself, to be able to strike on have the opportunity, have the flexibility to strike on a major piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get into Rashaan, say, for instance, you're not able to get rid of Buddy or Harrison, you got Fox. Now, the money that you can take on from a guy, he's never going to be available. People need to stop. But from there, Bradley Beal, when his hit the type of contract he has, you can't do that if you're tied into Rashaan, Buddy, Harrison. People talking about bringing in John Collins. Can't do it if all those slots are filled, the big money slots. I'm not even talking max money. I'm just saying big money slots are filled. So you got to think about that when you have Rashaan Holmes out there for you. You got to ask yourself, do I really want to spend this type of money on Rashaan Holmes?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds really bad. Sounds like a knock. We've said so many times how much we love Rashaan Holmes. In a perfect world, I love for him to be back here in Sacramento, but he's going to get paid. He is going to get paid, and more power to him. And you got to ask,
but is he? Like, that's the thing. Like, is he going to get paid?
I think he get paid.
What when you say that, like, what do you mean? Like 15 plus 15?
Yeah, 15 plus. I think 15 plus.
Okay.
Now, if he isn't, and that's what the market dictates, as he's around 12, 11 or 12 or something, more power to him. Maybe you can get him or something like that. But I think he's getting 15 to 18. And man, it's a good chunk of money, man. And you, like I said, the big thing is you want to be ready and available if somebody Bradley Beal becomes available. Zach LaVine, Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah. If these guys become available, you want to be ready to strike.
But so I wanted to piggyback something you said there, but I guess we've got to touch on that for a second. Is like, are you talking about a Bradley Beal or Karl Anthony Towns like in free agency?
No, in a trade situation.
Okay, because that's how I'm looking at when you talked about you mimicking Monty McNair's line of financial flexibility. Mm. You kind of glossed over it, but the John Collins thing, as the Ringer reports, in addition to the Boston Celtics, the Dallas Mavericks, the Detroit Pistons, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Sacramento Kings are one of many, as we just named, teams that are interested in acquiring power forward John Collins from Atlanta. This is a guy who's averaging 18.2 per season. He averaged 21 points per game. Last season, he turned down a hefty contract extension from the Atlanta Hawks, looking, potentially to max out. And he's that type of guy who he would make a tremendous acquisition to the Sacramento Kings. Now, Atlanta knows that. And Atlanta, apparently, according to the reports, they have a steep asking price that includes, a young player and a first-round pick, or perhaps multiple first-round picks if you don't have a young player that they particularly like. So that's a steep price to ask, particularly for like a Timberwolves team, particularly for a Pistons team, particularly for a Sacramento Kings team that's going to have to use, potentially very high first-round draft picks to build their team up.
Yeah.
But when you talk about financial flexibility, you're able to get him on. If you're able to get him on your roster, he becomes a restricted free agent. You have the ability to match any contract that's thrown at him if you plan accordingly. And I don't think it just includes Rashaan Holmes. I think it also includes unloading Buddy Hield. Now you have the financial flexibility to potentially lock up John Collins long term, and now you have a versatile scorer in a position where you haven't had one in a long time.
If I was the Sacramento Kings and that was available to me, I'd pull the trigger. I'd definitely pull the trigger, and I wouldn't.
But would you give up this year's first round pick?
No. We're not getting a first round pick. We're not giving that up. If you're Atlanta for John Collins, I like John Collins, but he's
would
not.
Would you do 2022?
Would I do?
We could do all of these. Like, okay, it's top 8 projected in 2022. It's top 10 protected in 2023. It's unprotected in I don't know that Atlanta would go for that, but like I don't know how you build out projections for a team that's been in the lottery for 14, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, and I know this is probably going to get destroyed by you or by listeners, people in the chatty house or whatever. I would do a first round 2022, and it would be protected. You know, I'd try to get some protections on it. But I say all that to say, you got Fox, you got Halliburton. At that point, you'll have John Collins, and you'll have who you drafted this year. I mean, not saying do I need that 20? Like, yeah, you need as many picks as possible, but
you need to be better.
Yeah,
you need to be better.
If you're not better with those four guys, combined with if you can keep Harrison and anybody you can get in the offseason, like the least of your problems is the fact that you don't have a 2022 first rounder. You got huge problems. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to give up the first rounder, but if I was Monty McNair and they told me we can get this done with you giving up some kind of protection on a 2022 first rounder, I'd make that move for John Collins.
Tell Atlanta. I mean, I would too. Like the question of John Collins as a Sacramento King is a no brainer in my opinion. And I haven't seen a single person in the chat or on the phone lines, if you want to get in here, 916-349-1320 that disagrees in John Collins being a tremendous acquisition for the Sacramento Kings. The question is, how could you get it done? I would call, hey, why don't y'all go ahead and unload Bogey? Send them to Golden State or wherever whoever you're talking to. It feels like they're all ready to get away from Bogdanovich. Yeah, we'll send you Buddy and maybe a 2022. And hey, let's just all hug and be friends and let John Collins come here to Sacramento.
Everything is awesome.
Just convince somebody. Just somebody loves Buddy. I don't know who it is. It's
Jackie McMullen.
It's Jackie McMullen. That's true. Jackie McMullen loves her. He's got value. Sorry, what? Wow. Okay. Somebody loves him. Find the person who loves Buddy and just get that. And it's not even an indictment of Buddy. He's obviously not playing well. It's just too much. Like he makes too much money.
Makes too much money. Here's another thing I'm seeing. Andrew Sterling in the chat says Barnes to Celtics for Nesmith, Langford, and first rounder. Then package Bagley and Boston pick to Atlanta for Collins. I brought that up because I want to address this. Boston is struggling, right? And
they're struggling so bad their struggle bus is breaking down. The smoke coming out of the front of the bus, and the people keep saying, "Oh, get back for Harrison Barnes." They can't even play. Yeah. It's not like they can't play on Brooklyn. That's just too loaded. This team is searching for answers everywhere in the Boston Celtics, and Langford and Nesmith, they can't even play. They can't even get on the court. So why would you want them? Why? I have no idea. So I feel like Kings fans really love Nesmith. I don't know where that. Maybe it was the coverage of in the draft. I feel like Kings fans are really, really high on him. That's fine. It's just I'm not trading Harrison Barnes.
No, I'm not
trading, and certainly not for that package in Boston.
No,
you're not moving me with that.
No, I don't want these guys that can't even get on the court. They can't get on the court. What do I want them for? Now, there was another rumor, and I say this, there was another rumor that Atlanta's looking to move off Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is a guy that I would take a chance on. And people were like, Cam Reddish is no good. He might not be any good. I don't dispute that. He's been highly disappointing since he got into the league. But that is the type of – how many guys have I gone through this year talking about? Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Porter, now Cam Reddish. They may not be good. They may be bust. But if the asking price is low enough, these are the type of guys that if you're the Sacramento Kings, take a chance on them. Take a chance on them. So if it was a future second rounder or, maybe some I don't know why Atlanta would want to do this, but Buddy, a future second rounder, or even this year's second rounder for Cam Reddish, absolutely. Absolutely, I'd take a shot on Cam Reddish. This guy that had super high upside coming out of high school and then coming out of Duke. You take a chance on him. Absolutely. Now, I wouldn't trade Harrison Barnes for Cam Reddish.
Right.
That's the whole point from what I was saying earlier.
Right.
But a guy like Cam Reddish, yes, you take a chance on him. 100%.
I think, I don't know that we mentioned this today. I know we not joked because we're not doing that anymore. Houston has lost 20 straight games. I don't think we mentioned in all of this John Collins talk that I think Atlanta's at 8 in a row. I still don't think they've lost they've won 8 straight.
Yeah, man. They're cooking.
They're 22-20 right now. That is just extraordinary what they've done since making a coaching change.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know why my voice went up a little.
I don't know either.
Pointing things out. It'd be difficult. It's weird to see a team that's won 8 straight, that made a coaching change, now looking to move potentially, if you believe the rumors, Bogdanovich. And then here, the situation with John Collins, I understand a little bit more just because of the financial situation in the offseason. And much like the kind of dilemma we're talking about with Rashaan Holmes and Monty McNair is, are you willing to lose him? Is there a breaking point? Rashaan is a unrestricted free agent. John Collins is a restricted free agent. Is there a breaking point if you're the Atlanta Hawks where you go, we can't do this?
Yeah,
we can't re-sign him.
It's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be a situation
which is why he, for a team again that has won 8 straight games and just seems to be hottest team in the league right now. I mean, Milwaukee's won 6 straight. Yeah, you can put them up there as one of the hottest teams in the league, if not the hottest team in the league. Why they're looking to move such a key player is because they're looking ahead to the offseason like we're not going to be able to keep him. And then you noted that there's allegedly maybe him and Trae Young, the franchise, aren't the best of friends.
Yeah, they may not be on the same page. But I mean, I look at Atlanta's roster, like you mentioned, and I don't know. I mean, John Collins, I don't know why they wouldn't feel like they could give him, the $100 million contract he's talking about. I feel like they got, I could be looking at this completely wrong, but I feel like they got cap space.
Well,
cap space to do it after.
Have they paid Trae yet?
They haven't. Trae is,
so there's an added $25 million for one player, or what,
and that's
whatever.
2 years where he's going to get that $20 million extension. Next year he might be like 11. Then after that it'll come. He's a year behind, 2 years behind Fox. No, a year behind Fox.
He's in the bag. Yeah, he's in the Bagley draft, right?
Yeah.
So he would be
like 11.
He'll probably get it this offseason, I would think, and then he'll play out the last year. But basically what De'Aaron did. He'll play the last year of his deal, and then his new money will kick. He's not going anywhere, obviously. Like, they're thrilled with him. I assume he's happy there. They're going to pay him the maximum amount of money, and I assume that gets done this offseason. So again, he's not going to get paid in the next season. It'll be the season after. So that timeline is correct. I don't know. Maybe they're just. I mean, they paid Bogey a decent amount, didn't they? Like, they paid a couple of guys who came in this offseason a decent amount, and so maybe they're just trying to get off one of them. And again, maybe it's not about money with John Collins.
Okay.
Maybe there's just a different situation there.
Okay, so this may be an issue as I look at the Atlanta Hawks salary situation.
Okay,
18 next year for Bogdan. 19 next year for Clint Capella. 20 next year for Gallinari.
Oh boy. So
if you sign John Collins to that deal, and Bogdan's deal goes to 2023, 2024. You're looking at a situation where
that was such an oops.
Oh yeah, big time. And then you got the Okongwu, his rookie deal by the time. So let's just put it to you like this. In 2022, 2023, they could be paying Gallinari 21, Bogdan 18, Capella 20, Trae Young will be at 11, at that point. And Collins will be at 20. Okongwu at 6. Like, that's a lot of money.
Cam Reddish is averaging more points than Bogey.
Really?
Bogey's only played 17 games this season. He's averaging 9.5 points on the year.
Man.
Big time.
Oh, man.
Whoops.
And I don't see anybody bailing them out on that Bogey.
And as well, there's rumors out there about a trade with Golden State. But
who's coming in return?
Well, I don't know. But as you would say, you would say pretty regularly. Well, ain't our problem. Y'all figure it out. Oh, but we could just trade him later. Sign him now and trade him later. Yeah. Solid strategy. We'll put that advice right up there with Kenny Caraway telling you not to pay your mortgage. Solid financial advice there from those who said just sign him now and trade him later.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I may or may not have talked about not paying your mortgage, because I'm paying my mortgage.
You definitely
Person's right around the corner, and I've got my money ready.
Okay, that's good. Hey, I'm just gonna pay y'all now. Y'all ready to get paid now? Go ahead and send this out to you. Kings have got the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up. I think there are some issues to look for, some things to be concerned about with this small lineup that the Sacramento Kings start with.
Okay.
We've seen it now in a couple of games. Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Rashaan Holmes, Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox. I'd watch, the minutes that those guys are on the floor together pretty closely tonight, because you could have a situation similar to what you had in Washington. And I don't mean I think the Kings will probably be outscored in the paint probably every game this season. They got outscored in the paint against Boston and Washington. They won both of those games. It didn't really matter. But it is something to watch, particularly with a player like Colin Sexton, who likes to be explosive. He likes to get to the basket. He's been extremely effective doing it. And, those points in the paint aren't always the big guys down there banging. They're guys getting in there and getting their shots at the rim. And we could see that from Colin Sexton tonight. Of course, you got Jarrett Allen there as well. This could be a game where you may not be particularly moved by the Cleveland Cavaliers. You may not be particularly moved by their roster, but to steal a line from your favorite pastime, styles make fights. Mm-hmm. Is that the line? This is we saw Styles make a fight for the Sacramento Kings every time they played the Boston Celtics over the course of the last couple of years. We could see a situation where this winds up being a rather difficult matchup for the Sacramento Kings tonight.
It could be. I could see that. I don't think that Cleveland has – I like Colin Sexton. I don't think he can stop De'Aaron Fox from doing what he wants to do. I don't think they have a answer for Harrison Barnes and what he wants to do. I do see Jarrett Allen being a bit of a problem for Rashaan Holmes. I look at that roster, and that's a pretty that's a good observation by you, partner, about what they do have on that roster being a problem for the Kings inside. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I look from top to bottom, and I'm gonna. Do
you feel good about this game? Because you felt good about the Boston one, and that worked out pretty well for everybody.
I did. Barry Horowitz, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And in reverse, I was not feeling as good about Philadelphia. I didn't know it would be like that, but I was not feeling as good about Philly. I do feel good about this game, though. I do. Okay. I think there's certain things, and I'm going to talk about it in about 8 minutes or so as to why I think the Kings can win this game tonight. They got a really good shot at winning tonight.
Okay. I like that. We're obviously looking at trades. I'm going to read this from Mark Stein. He just tweeted a moment ago. A big week looms for the Miami Heat, who continue to strongly covet Kyle Lowry via trade, who league sources increasingly peg as the most likely landing spot for LaMarcus Aldridge.
Ooh.
Provided San Antonio can't find Aldridge trade before Thursday's deadline and buys him out. So what do you think about a Miami Heat team with Kyle Lowry and LaMarcus Aldridge, if all things go Pat Riley's way over the course of the next 7 days or so?
They're back in there. They are back in there for sure. So. Not only is that 1.5 really good players, because I don't know how much LaMarcus has left. No shade. But it also adds to their depth.
Well, sure. Yeah. Speaking of, the buyouts there in the case of LaMarcus Aldridge, I do think one thing that helps the Kings tonight is there's no Andre Drummond.
Yes.
Andre Drummond, I guess, he just is sitting at home collecting a paycheck.
Yeah, keep cashing them checks.
Yeah. I mean, why not? It's not his fault. That's on them. But
No,
I think that's
all.
one thing that helps the Kings tonight because he's a big body.
Yeah.
And if the Lakers didn't covet him before, my God, they might want to come up with a situation before Thursday that lands him and not risk him getting out there on the buyout market. But it's an interesting week for the Kings ahead. It's bookended by 2 Cavs games. The Cavs tonight, the Cavs Saturday, with the Hawks coming up on Wednesday. And who knows what the Sacramento Kings will look like when they take the floor of the Golden One Center on Thursday to play the Golden State Warriors.
Hawks Wednesday. That could be a just leave them here match. John Collins, just leave him here.
Hey, did it with Amon Shumpert when Houston came to town a couple of weeks ago or a couple of years ago. Like, hey, we're experts on this. Why don't you? Yeah, why don't you? Who do you want? Just 24? Send 20 over there. You're on that side now. Have the jersey ready for him. Just be like, here, like go ahead, go play. Let's get John Collins over here.
Yeah, it's a week where I don't know. It's weird. It's weird because I waved the white flag about a week ago.
Yes, you did.
But I'm still looking.
Dude,
I'm still looking, man.
You're really on the fence with this white flag thing. You haven't
I'm not there yet.
like you've waved it, but you'd be
I have it in my hand.
Like it's like right here, and you're just kind of looking to see if
I'm
what's
holding
incoming,
the white flag.
and you're just ready. You're ready to wave it.
Meanwhile, everybody on King's Twitter and even I don't know if Damien is, but they're pulling a Apollo Creed trainer and saying, "Throw in the damn towel."
I get no joy out of watching this team lose on a night-to-night basis because, as I've stated before, I believe Luke Walton is going to coach this team forever. Let's get Manny in here. I'm not sure if Manny, you still here? Like I think you're pretty happy today with Loyola Chicago getting the dub, right?
No, not at all.
That was hard, man, because I love both teams, and I really felt like they shouldn't even have been in the same region. But, man, you guys, I swear I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. one time, and then I'm going to turn on the TV for those crazy infomercials, and it's going to fade into the Caraway house, that big mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so 5 ways not to pay your mortgage.
Yep.
It's craziness.
It's a daily reminder to everybody: pay your mortgage.
No, I think that's what we're gonna see. It's gonna be like what was it, Damon and Keenan, Ivory Waynes, the Homeboy Shopping Network. I say, yo, homeboy, what? I say, yo, homeboy, what? Do you pay your mortgage?
Let me bring up a player. I'm just throwing out the so the Bulls didn't pick up Market in 5th year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's probably on his way out from Chicago. A disappointment after that first year. Would you take him in a trade for Bagley, or even think about? And the reason I say think about picking him up is I think anytime you look at the Kings and who they can get in free agency, they are always limited because it's a small market. Who can you attract to want to come play here? Do you think he seems like a laid back dude, not really into the whole big city vibe or all that, like as far as like needs to be in prime time. What are your thoughts on him as a player, as his potential, as who he, overall?
I would definitely take Lauri Markkanen back for Marvin Bagley. Absolutely.
And it kind of falls into that because you're of the belief that this is divorced.
Yeah.
It's done.
They're done. It's over now. 112.
So you don't have to think very highly of Lauri Markkanen or any other player at that point, as it's just like let's move on from Bagley. Let him go do his thing, and if we get a player in here that works, great. If we don't, it's because once Marvin Bagley is off the team, I feel like the whole Luka saga goes with it. Like, and it's just it's over, and you can't keep bringing it up. Like the players, everybody knows it's a massive L, and it's not just Luka. There's a number of other players that you just look at and go, wow, top 5 picks, like 4 studs, huh? We got the one that didn't work out. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be difficult for Kings fans. It's not going to be any more difficult than what Kings fans are dealing with now.
Nah, it's not. And really, and I know he's not Luka, he's not Trey, but the frustrating part of it is he wasn't able to stay healthy. And when he was healthy, he was a decent to really good ball player.
And maybe that's what he is. Mm-hmm. I mean, time will tell. Hopefully not. Regardless of what happens with the Sacramento Kings, hopefully that's not the case. But again, like time will tell, but maybe that's ultimately what he is he's a guy who just, he's good for a small chunk of the season, and that's it. He just can't stay healthy, or you use him sparingly, or I don't know. Yeah,
and you can't build around that.
I felt like there was some questions about whether you could build around him anyways, given as you noted, on a number of the minutes that he was playing, when he was playing, and what exactly the team was doing when he was in the game.
It hit me like a ton of bricks a couple of weeks ago when I said, look, they're showing by their actions they have no interest in Marvin Bagley, the way they play him, and the fact they didn't run none for him. So just move on from him. Yeah. If you have no interest, I wanted to keep him because I had interest in him. I think he could do something. But if Luke in the front office are sitting there, basically they're telling us with their actions, I'm not really that interested in him. Play him his little 24 minutes. He gets a little garbage points and things of that nature.
Luke's telling you about Marvin Bagley what I tell you about Luke. I'm not really interested in him. Like, I don't really know.
Well, they let their feelings be known. I can say that.
As we all do. We're headed out to college hoops coverage here in just a couple of minutes. And ESPN's college hoops coverage all tournament long is brought to you by Elk Grove Dodge and the Elk Grove Auto Mall, and online at elkgrovedodge.com. But before we head back to Indianapolis for college hoops, got a Kings game tonight, and the best part of every day are Kenny's keys to a Kings victory. It is the Sacramento Kings closing out a 6-game road trip. They'll be back in the Golden One Center on Wednesday. They got the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight to close out this trip. KC, say you feel all right about this game. Tell us how the Kings can win.
Well, there's a couple things here going on with the Kings that it's one of the reasons why I feel like they can come out of Cleveland with the win, come out of this 6-game road trip with a 3-3 record. Number one, I know this sounds a little crazy. I know it does, but flex your offensive muscle. Flex it tonight. Now, say whatever you want about the Kings, and we've said it. They are still a top 10 offense in this league, averaging 114.5 points per game. The Cleveland Cavaliers, last in the NBA, averaging 104 points a night. I look at this situation, and I know the Kings are capable of giving up 120 whenever to whoever. But if they can find a way to hold the Cavs to 110 or fewer, I don't think the Cavs offensively can keep up with what the Kings can do. And I think they'll win this game. So that's your first key. Hold them to 110 or fewer, you're going to win. Number two, don't give these Cavs any easy buckets. And what I mean by that is free throw. All right? Cavs, one of the worst teams in the league from the field, shooting 45% from the field. That's good for 23rd in the league. They're 34% from three. That's good for 28th in the league. I mean, they can't shoot the rock. Don't give them any free throws. No, don't do that. If you can keep the Cavs at 20 free throw attempts and below, you will win. I'm going to give you that one right there. Number three, I love my matchups. It's a young bull alert. Young bull alert. All right. De'Aaron Fox versus Colin Sexton. Sexton has gone for 24 points a night, 4 assists a night. De'Aaron Fox, 23.7, 7.5 assists. If Fox can outscore Sexton tonight, that means he's cooking. That means the biggest offensive weapon for the Cavs isn't getting it done to the level Fox is. I think the Kings win. So once again, hold the Cavs to below 110. Keep them under 20 free throw attempts on the night. And De'Aaron Fox, if you can outscore Colin Sexton, the Kings will go 3-3 on the 6-game road trip.
Okay. I like it. I'm concerned about it.
Okay.
But I like it. The only stat that the stat that I'll be paying the most attention to is that you bring up a great point about free throw shooting too. I'm going to be watching that one tonight too.
Yeah, don't give
Points
them
in
no
the paint
cheapies.
and free throw shooting, because I think those two things could go together, especially if we see Colin Sexton trying to get to the basket, or we try to see Jared Allen, trying to work down in the low block. Do they? You talk about being physical. There's a way to be physical without fouling.
Yep.
And
That's
we'll see if they're able to do that tonight, because they're going to have to be physical with this team. We appreciate you so much for hanging out with us today. Back to your regularly scheduled program tomorrow. We'll be back for 4 hours tomorrow, but we're headed to NCAA tournament coverage. If you missed any part of today's show, you could subscribe to the podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcast from. And make sure you hit the thumbs up before you leave the YouTube feed. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow here at noon on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320.
Go Kings!
Man, my bad. I know that was a couple seconds late. Sorry about that. Man, I can't wait till the summer gets here and we just talk wrestling all day.
We're going to give a month-long SummerSlam preview.
Yeah, I'm so curious what wrestling looks like. Appreciate you, Cole. What wrestling looks like post WrestleMania, because they're having fans at WrestleMania. So what are they going to do?
And they got to get out of Tropicana Field.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Get out of the Thunderdome.
I don't know where they're going to go.
I wonder if what did I just? Oh, I didn't. It's in our notes, but we didn't get to it today. The NFL draft.
Yeah, they're going live, or with people there.
They're going.
Players will be there and everything.
They're going NFL draft, they're doing the thing. So I wonder, maybe they go back to touring. Maybe they set up, arenas in states that'll allow them
that's what
the
I'm about
most
to say.
capacity possible, and see if they can get back to touring here, because that would be what. Late, mid to late April. They probably have to have some dates set up by now, but
and they don't do well. They haven't been able to do them at all. But I was about to say they don't do that many house shows, so you can literally just do 2 shows a week.
Yeah.
Like do two in Atlanta and then 2 in Houston. 2, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could do that for a couple months.
I wonder if house shows are dead.
I went to one like 6 months ago, and not 6 months ago, 6 months before the pandemic.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, okay, we'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Kenny out here wilding out.
And I was like, once again, it was for Reese, and it's like it was whatever. I was almost like, why am I here?
House shows
nothing of significance is going to happen.
House shows don't hit. I will say, I saw at UC Davis, I saw Randy Orton wrestle. It wasn't his first match, but it was one of his first matches. He wasn't on TV yet, and he was wrestling Rico. You remember Rico? Remember Billy and Chuck? Billy and Chuck, the guys that almost got Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo. They were a tag team that they
remember Chuck.
They almost got married. Yeah, there was Billy and Chuck. Yeah, they almost got married on TV. And so their stylist was Rico. Oh, but Rico had fun. Rico was like an American Gladiator. Like the old American Gladiator show.
I was gone at this time.
So he was, but he wrestled Randy through his first handful of matches. And I remember walking to my car, and Randy, they parked in the wrong parking spot. They just are in the wrong parking area. They just parked around regular people. Yeah. And I'm walking to my car, and I look over, and I didn't know what he was. It was Randy Orton and Rico getting in their car trying to. Yeah, no one was really bothering them because no one cared who Randy Orton was. But yeah, that was at Davis. That was at the Rec Hall of Davis.
That is a trip. I'm just still stuck on Rico.
You know that music. You looked. Oh yeah, that was fire. It was fire. Yeah, they almost got married. It was, and who?
Yo, Vince will do anything, bro. Vince will do anything.
Was that the Billy and Chuck? Was that No, they said, no, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Was that where Eric Bischoff was dressed up as the old man, or was that a different wedding? I think that was the Billy and Chuck wedding where Eric Bischoff was dressed up like an old man, like he had a ton of makeup on, and then he's doing this like old man voice, and then all of a sudden he like grabs his face and like rips this chunk of makeup off, and him and like Stephanie are adversaries at the time, and Stephanie's got these big eyes, and it's good stuff.
Wow.
Good stuff.
So did they like?
Okay, Eric was the old man. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. They did the 3-minute warning gimmick. That's what it was. This segment's gone on 3 minutes too long.
So when doing, I'm still fascinated by Billy and Chuck. So when Rico, when did they like? Was this a storyline? Was it like
so the story it was heavy like innuendo. So the story was they would be rubbing like baby oil on each other. Like the heavy insinuation is that they were like gay. They were two gay men, and they never said they were gay. They never did anything. The insinuation was that they were gay, and he asked them to be like his tag team, his partner for life or something like that. And so
this is crazy.
They did this whole thing, and it got a ton of national attention because you got to remember, this was 2000. Man, this might have been around the time of like legalizing gay marriage rights being fought like across the country.
Yeah.
And so, because remember, they were fighting them in individual states, and they do the wedding, like, and so like right before they say, do you take this man to be your whatever wording they used? I think Billy goes, wait. This was just a joke. Like, this was just a publicity stunt. Like, what's going on here? And it, it evolves into Eric ripping off his, makeup and this whole like scene happening. But it was,
wow.
Yeah, that angle was pretty. It got a lot of national attention just because of it. It was no way. Was it really 2002? Wow. So that's actually years before.
Yeah.
Because
I'm trying to think of when I stepped away from wrestling. It was probably around then.
Wow. Won't get the exact date. All right.
Around 2-3, and I came back around like 9 or 10. 2009, 2010, 11 or so.
Okay.
I was gone for a little while.
So you missed, I think you missed Benoit killing.
I remember hearing about it, but I remember hearing about it. I saw
you missed Eddie dying.
Yeah,
I think you missed Eddie.
I really missed like when Eddie was huge. Like I knew who he was. I knew he was from WCW and knew he was in WWF at the time and he was killing it, but I wasn't really
Eddie's evolution into a superstar was man. When I did the relive on Eddie, like that was one where I was just like, damn, we lost one. Man. Like we really, really lost one with him because he was hit. Did you ever watch Brock versus Eddie in San Francisco? Dude, sit down with Reese after all thing is done tonight and watch it. The build up to that, like, because it was only like a 2-week build, and it was just Brock cutting promos on Eddie and then Eddie retorting about like his past demons. Bruh, I'll send you the relive. It's so good.
I'd like to listen to that.
So good. Like and then to see San Francisco, that it was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. When Eddie wins,
that's when he won the championship, right? And I've seen Lesnar, that highlight, and I mean it's one of the great pops of all time.
The only thing I hate about it, or it's not, the only thing I don't like is that JR is not calling it. Michael Cole is, but it's still like Michael Cole. He does it good. He does it justice. But it's man, you've got to watch it. You absolutely have to. See
I miss Eddie's run, man. I miss that.
Eddie was a star, man.
Yeah,
he was different. Like there's no one. He was different. Like he was a star.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch it. Watch it, Tim. It's good. I think it's one of the best Broken Skull sessions he's done. And Randy, I thought, was fantastic. He was super like outward, like he talked about everything. It was good.
I'm gonna check that out too.
I'll let you go, man. I know you got to do
Is that
TV.
on Peacock or is that on
the network still works for it still works for like a couple more weeks.
Okay.
No, it's not gonna. I think the network like isn't gonna exist like the week before WrestleMania. They want everybody on Peacock, so
I better have everything.
yeah,
on
we're gonna have
Peacock.
to deal. We're gonna have to deal with all the faults of Peacock for a while.
I was so upset yesterday. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to watch this," and then Matt. First of all, they were like, "Watch the replay," and I was like, "Cool." And they had the kickoff show on there. I said, "Get this off of here!
That. Yeah,
Get this crap off of here!"
I put it on Friday night. It was like Birth of the Stunner. It was like 15 minutes long. I put it on and I'm kicking back. Got my little McQueen with me, and then like a commercial comes on. I was like, "Oh, child, please, ain't no way." Ain't going.
Hey, they got us on Saturday Night Main Event. We ain't doing commercials around here.
Ain't doing no commercials, man. Come on, man. Close that out. Went over to the WWE app, and then like I went to Peacock and paid the extra $5 for commercials to be taken out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm gonna have to do that too. I'm
all right, man.
now.
When you on TV? What game are you on after?
USC Kansas, the late game, the last game actually, of the night for the NCAA tournament. So we'll be on there about 9 o'clock or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck, man. Have fun.
Appreciate you, bro.
And we'll see you guys. Let me get the video. I always forget to hit. Yeah. Well, hold on. Now I think I got to get rid of this banner.
Yeah,
too,
I'm about to say get rid of D'Lo and KC.
Yeah. Hang on. I'll figure out how to do this one day. Boom. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow at noon.
Wow.